Lovely jubbly.
Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham, and another embarrassing one to talk about Mura this time. My good God, where will it end? Every year we get something embarrassing, and this one I think takes the cake. Hopefully Bob will join us in a little bit, but for the meantime, two great guests. You'll know them if you watch the stream regularly. Tommy Talks Ball. How you doing, Tommy? Probably a bit of a silly question, but...
Oh, look, I don't torture myself. I could see this coming. Do you know what I'm saying? So, this is just another shocking performance. As you say, Mura's worse than Zagreb because I didn't know they existed. I didn't know they existed 4 months ago as a football club. So, it is worse, but, it's Spurs.
Yeah, and Tommy Talks Ball, your channel. I was on there yesterday defending Sessignon, and less than 12 hours later he goes and does that. But yeah, Tommy Talks Ball, where can people find that if they don't look in the description, which it's LinkedIn, and they don't know where it is?
Yeah, I'm still shocked the majority said it was keep, sell, loan. People went with sell Bergwijn and keep Sessignon, but it is what it is. But yeah, Tommy Talks Ball. I'm doing a preview later, so make sure you check that out. Not before you smash the subscribe and like on this. I'm doing a preview. I've got a Burnley boy on, Dan, who's brilliant. Turf Moor House, and a couple of other Spurs fans, so make sure you check that out. As I said, Chris, thanks for having me, and make sure you subscribe here first. Both
very welcome. Brian, I mean, there could be some rants on this one. It could be a competition who rants more, me or Brian, but we'll save that for later. We won't give any spoilers. But firstly, stupid question, how are you doing? And secondly, Tottenham on Tour is your channel. Where can people find that?
So first of all, thanks, Chris, for having me on. It's always great to spend time with you and Tommy. SYIFP. See you in February, Parasite. Is my new Bob has TT till they hold the shirt in his acronyms. I've joined him, but that's my one. It's just, do you know what? It's gone past embarrassing. It's gone past being disgraceful, apart from when we're talking about a Crayola crown in Dele Alli. And I'm trying to stay very, very calm right now because it's 20 to 8 in the morning here in Toronto. I'm doing a two brides tonight on Tottenham on Tour, where it's going to be about midnight your time and 7 p.m. our time. So the watershed moment. I know Cody's in the chat. If Cody wants to jump on at some point tonight, it'd be amazing. It's just appalling, disgraceful. And do you know what, Spurs fans? It's just common practice now, and how it's acceptable to be common practice. And like Tommy just said with Zagreb, but I was on the stream yesterday on We Are Tottenham TV, and they're saying what was our most embarrassing defeat, and someone said Colchester, like last in the League Cup at the end of Poch. Then I said Bayern Munich not because of the team, but the scoreline and the performance. And then someone in the comments after, like in the YouTube comments, said Zagreb, and I completely forgotten about Zagreb. That's how bad this is. I've completely forgotten about Zagreb. This is the lowest of the low, the lowest of the lowest of the low, and it's unacceptable.
And their manager was in prison. Remember that? Their manager was in prison as well at the time.
And quickly just give yourself a plug. Tottenham on Tour.
Yeah, Tottenham on Tour. We're on the push to 800. I think we're at 760 something or 770 something. We are on the push. We are before the two brides today talking with someone who name I'm not going to mention to do a very, very big Christmas or pre-Christmas show regarding the transfer market. And yeah, sorting that out. It's going to be a regular thing. And there's a few new shows. Hopefully, Sean Snow will be having his own show. So Tottenham on Tour are growing. We're on the push for 1,000. I'll tell you what, it's so sad. I've got more hope of us hitting 1,000 than Levy spending money in January. That's the target.
Excellent. Both those channels are in the description. Twitter handles as well, so make sure you hit like and subscribe to them. I'm currently on 149 subscribers, so please subscribe to the channel. Get me over the 150, not to the 150, over the 150. Push on to 200, and then hit the like on this stream as well. It all helps the channel grow. All appreciate it. A few people in the chats already. Barry, who's a regular. Barry Ambrose, how you doing, Barry? Is anyone looking forward to Sunday's game? Burnley are. We'll talk about them later. Wayne Bonner, always a regular, not just here. All Spurs chats. Afternoon all. We recovered from the shower of Arsenal last night. Hope we turn up for Burnley Sunday. Probably have recovered from the shower of Arsenal last night, but we're going to go over it again, so it'll probably be back. Great panel, by the way. Cheers, Wayne. Always pleasure talking to these two guys. Cody Mack in the channel as well. How you doing, Cody? Mike Ruddock. He's a buddy of mine. Not sure if he watches this before or if this is the first time, but presumably because he knows how much I get angry with Spurs and we've lost to Mura. But for last night's game, we were ranked 378th best club in Europe, similar ranking to Accrington, Stanley and Gillingham. Cheers, Mike.
Any relation? Any relation?
If he has any relation to Razor, please go get him. Just get him into the just take him for a train. Or could you
Unfortunately, not at all.
Could you imagine a prime Razor Ruddock in this team? GBH.
And Simply Ace, who's also a regular. How you doing, buddy? All I can say is what the hell happened last night. Seriously, these players are the problem and not the managers that we have had. Right. Let's get on with this crap. Mura, Tommy, most embarrassing result? Yeah, you said that yourself with Zagreb, but I mean, they put a tweet out today with their Spurs going, lads, it's Tottenham, and then just laughing about it. So every year we get an embarrassing result, and just goes to show, like Simply Ace said, it's the players, the second string here, which the majority of the players were. We had Kane starting, who obviously isn't. But I mean, is this the most embarrassing result we've had, or are you just not even bothered? It's another loss. It's another embarrassing loss. We just get them and we just carry on getting them. What are your thoughts after sleeping, having a sleep on the result?
Well, I didn't get much sleep. I was on Bob's till about 4 a.m. last night. I was supposed to get up at 8 for a run, so I'm just I ain't even had a shower since my run because I'm running so late. But so it's easy to say it's the worst ever result because it's so fresh in our minds, isn't it? It's so fresh in our minds, having just happened last night. I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch the first half. I said on yesterday's stream, I thought it was like 8 o'clock kickoff, and for some reason that was in my mind. It was 8 o'clock. I was watching bloody Expendables for the first time. I'm glad I did now in the first half.
Brilliant film. The second one's better. Maybe watch that instead of Burnley. You probably appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I didn't know Stone Cold Steve Austin was in it, so it goes up a few grades just for that. As I said, it's fresh in our minds, but there's no way, even if it's fresh in our mind, there's no way of saying that this isn't the worst result. It just has to be, whether it's fresh in our minds or not. As we said, the Zagreb coach was in prison, and I suppose losing 3 goals in that short space of time. But Zagreb have got pedigree. Let's face it, we signed Modric from there.
Worst result in the club's history, 1,000%, Simply Ace has said.
I mean, we've signed good players that come from Zagreb, Modric, Orsic. There have been a lot of good players. Mura, they didn't exist till 2012. And it's just, it's horrifying. It's a horrifying result. But you saw it coming. As soon as Sanchez got beat at the halfway line, everybody knew. You could hear it in the commentator's voice. You could, if we could see all our eyes, like all the streamers, like us three and the fans, we could just see it coming. We just knew this was going to happen to Spurs. And we deserved it. And we saw it coming in the opening game against Mura. We were only 2-1 up before Kane came on. We saw it.
I know you love your stats, Tommy, so I'll give you another one, which is what I read. Mura have only ever had 1 win in Europe.
It's like San Marino.
Brilliant. Jesus Christ.
That was yesterday. Whether that's true or not, I saw it on Twitter. Whether it's true or not, I don't know.
Team stats I'm all right with. It's just player stats, to be honest with you. That's ridiculous. Quite frankly, isn't it? That's ridiculous.
And a comment here from Wayne. I'll come to you, Brian. You've got about 30 seconds, then you can swear as much as you want.
Okay.
It's embarrassing that Conte has had 2 weeks with our second string, still don't improve. I hope Levy's finally taking note of that. I would suggest no, because it's happened again and again. But my only possible kind of a positivity of it is that Conte won't just sit down and just accept it. He will have a go at Levy, and then whether Levy listens is another thing. But will Levy finally be taking notes, or is Levy just Levy and just, oh, well, not my problem?
I love how you got that to exactly 10 minutes, so now I can talk. Okay, that was absolute brilliant broadcasting. Listen, first of all, before let me just tell a nice story beforehand. For this is for Tommy, because he just mentioned someone. I forgot to tell him a story. Tommy, obviously you and me are fans. We speak about the Attitude Era of WWE and how much we love it. You know my obsession with The Rock, like a wild, out of like huge obsession with him. But my other one is Stone Cold. And if you ever get a call from me at stupid o'clock in the morning out of the blue, all I can say is answer your phone. And the reason I say answer your phone, my cousin, who is, she's a lot younger than me, she's 20 odd or late 20s, maybe even early 30s, early 30s. Anyway, she comes over to America now and again. And when she goes to America, and the person, she's trying to get a visa, and the person that is her sponsor for her visa is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Jesus.
Steve Austin. Steve Austin.
You've mentioned this. You've
Steve
mentioned something
Austin.
briefly, and
Yes,
a Spurs fan.
basically. No,
His
he's not a
daughter's
Spurs fan.
fan.
Basically, Steve Austin was married to an English woman and had a daughter in England,
Mm.
and she still was from this English wife, and she lives in America. They went to school together. Stone Cold Steve Austin actually dropped my cousin off at school when she was like 6, 7 years old, like before he.
In that monster truck of his with the skull.
Oh, mate, and she has said, and she stays in his house. And she's like, next time I'm over, I will call you, because she knows my obsession on those two. Rock by far more. But if you ever get a call, it's stupid, because I will patch you in, because it'll be WhatsApp. I'll be like, I've just got to add someone.
Mate, do it, please,
mate.
Please do it.
In words of a certain person, give me a hell yeah.
Austin 316. Do you know you was you was more Rock. I was definitely more Stone Cold. Don't get me wrong.
I was Austin. I got a reply from him on Twitter ages ago. I watched The Condemned. I was quite drunk and said it was a brilliant film. And he said, what did he say? He goes, yeah, it's up there with Zulu or something like that. I think he was taking a mick, but he didn't have to respond.
Getting back to the matter at hand, and I'll wrap it up with Austin onto Levy. I actually took one of Austin's sayings, which was Daigle 316 said, "I just whoop Levy's ass." So getting back to the main issue here. Listen, it's embarrassing. It's pathetic. It's a fucking disgrace. It's I don't know. We've got people in the chat, the great people like Wayne Bonner and all the others, and we've got someone who I'm going to use now, Cody. Cody, who is a really passionate Spurs fan, and I'm using Cody because Cody is the one in the chat. Really, really passionate football fan, like Spurs have around the world. And with Cody, I wouldn't say he's been there for a long, like a supporter for like how long we've been, but he's a very passionate and diehard supporter. And one of his joys this year has been he'd never been to a game with Spurs fans and in a pub, and he came down to our pub, the Scotland Yard. We had a great day. Meeting Cody was one of the best things ever to happen to me. I love that man with all my heart. But there's people like him that around the world are getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning. And for people on the other side of this great country in America, we get up for 7 o'clock kickoffs. They're getting up for 4 a.m. kickoffs. There's people in Australia that stay up till 2 in the morning to watch the game and do things like this. And we give our blood, sweat and tears and our days, the days Spurs are playing, our kind of days are filled around Tottenham Hotspur. Like my one when I lived in England, if Spurs were on Sky or I was going to Spurs, we're not doing anything till after the Spurs game, or we can't go out and do something during the day because Spurs are on at 3 and I need to. And this is what we get. This parasite talks about the international fans and their importance, and we're the legacy fans, and they get to see this. They get to go to work if they've got jobs at the moment because of COVID or whatever, and be verbally abused and bad or whatever because of the shit that this football club now stands for. The shit that this cockerel it represents nothing right now. It's just there's no connection. There's no nothing. It's pathetic, appalling, disgraceful, gutless, toothless, spineless, and every other part of the body you want to use less. And it's simply unacceptable. And I'm sure we'll speak about it later, but this is how fucking stupid the fan base is, or the majority of the fan base is. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg deactivated his Twitter account because he was getting an absolute fucking onslaught of abuse. He hardly played yesterday, and if any player on that pitch doesn't deserve abuse, whether you think he's great or not, it's him. But yet, rather than blame the real culprit, was it Højbjerg's fault? He's 26 years old. For 21 years, has this been Højbjerg's fault? No. Every single goddamn time it's an excuse as to who it is, and the prick is still there. I'm ashamed to be a Spurs fan right now. I'm ashamed because of the activity of fans and because of the gutless performances we keep putting out.
You make a point about Højbjerg. Højbjerg played, 50 games last year. He played all but one game of the Euros because they didn't get through to the final. He had the Eriksen situation, which must have taken a horrendous mental toll on him as well. So he's kind of understandable that his standards have maybe dropped a little bit from last season. But yeah, Tommy, I mean, simply as said, Conte realised the problems within the club. Don't think he realised it was this bad. Conte's the manager that can turn it around, but Levy will not let it happen. I went on your channel yesterday, back Sessegnon, and then he goes and he's a young player, Sessegnon, but he isn't inexperienced. So why he's gone in for that challenge, whether he gets the ball or whether he doesn't, you know now, surely as a footballer, that going in like that, you're risking a yellow card. And he didn't get the ball at all, so it was a definite yellow. That was after half hour. I mean, that obviously makes our task that harder, but we did score with 10 men. But still, you should be beating Mura. But I mean, is there any player that played in that first half, certainly in the first half, barring Kane, because he's obviously a starter, and Sanchez maybe if Romero's still injured? Is there any player in that starting lineup who, I wouldn't say has a future at this club, but, Conte can rely on? Because this is a story that's been happening for the last 3 years with, however long, with Jose, Nuno, now Conte. That second string just either don't care, they're not good enough, or a bit of both. So is there anyone in that Conte can count on?
It's tricky. Not with the current, not how they've performed over the last year and a half, that's for sure. But I think if anyone's going to get a song out of the average players, it's Conte, but he really doesn't have time. Because games, it's going to be on the training pitch. It's going to be one training session, half a training session, game. Half a training session, game in the festive period. So even judging Conte up until end of Feb is difficult. It's really difficult. And this is the problem with the Spurs fan base. This is the biggest problem. We overhype players and we overhype results. And we torture ourselves. We beat Leeds 2-1. A Leeds that have no attack whatsoever, right? Bamford out. Rafinha out. Bamford scores their goals. Rafinha assists or scores their goals. Rodrigo out. If those two aren't scoring or assisting, Rodrigo does. Ayling, their captain, out. Right? But we beat Leeds. Fortunately as well on the pitch, we made Adam Forshaw look like Xavi. He hasn't played for 2 years. Right? We torture ourselves. So let's put into, if people start talking about Conte, I heard a few people in the chat talking about Conte now, like mentioning Conte's supposed to do this. Like Tuchel came in straight away at Chelsea and changed Chelsea, but Chelsea were a Champions League chasing team and they had £250 million the summer before. So they had investment. We've had a lack of investment and the team are struggling to get into 6th and 7th. We just got into 6th the season before last. Jose Mourinho celebrated it like he won a ticket to the Playboy Mansion, whatever, finishing 6th on the last day of the season. And then last season, we squeezed into 7th. So this is a very different team to Chelsea. It's going to take time. He's not a miracle maker, and we're torturing ourselves if we think it's going to happen straight away. So you can see this coming. And as to your question about the second string, it's worrying. It's worrying because of the Christmas period. We're going to have to use all of them. We really are. And
Except
one more thing.
Except one player. If I see
The thing that annoys me the most, I mentioned it briefly on Bob's stream when I first come on, right? I'm not sticking up for Levy. I can't stand the bloke. I cannot stand the bloke. But what annoys me is constantly we're having a go at the players that don't assist and score goals, like the Højbjergs. If something happens, if we're not performing, it's the players that don't score goals or make assists. The Winks, the Davis, the Højbjerg now, they're always made the scapegoat when the creative players are doing nothing. Ali and Ndombele, Lo Celso, they do one good thing every 10 games, and then as Spurs fans, we're like, oh, keep him because they might come good. He's done an unbelievable flick in that game. Give him another 10 games, they might come good. 2.5 years, Lo Celso and Ndombele have been there. Ali's been there nearly 4 years where he's been utter shite, Ali. Almost coming up to 4 years. He had a couple of good years. 4 years of shite. These are the players we should be looking at to get out of the team because they're toxic behind the scenes as well. Dele Alli puts more effort into what colours he's going to have his dreadlocks the following game. You've got Lo Celso, who's unbelievable for Argentina, who cannot do anything for Spurs. And you've got Ndombele, who's just not bothered at all. He was out for 3 months in the summer because his wife was pregnant. He didn't play. What? I don't understand what's going on. These players need to go first. These are toxic players. Let's get rid of them. Sorry, his alarm. But that brings an end to the run. That brings the end to the run. But we can't just blame defensive players. Now it's on Højbjerg. Now, what are people thinking? The guy's been magnificent for the last year and a half. Let's get rid of these creative players that are not creating and have got that toxicity first. Then we can move on to the Davises and Winks that are not good enough. So, yeah, I worry about the toxicity. Aligned with the depth, it's going to be a very, very long 5 weeks. 11 games now in 5 weeks.
I mean, a few comments here. Wayne, a couple of comments from Wayne. It's a large part of our fan base that are deflecting themselves away from the real problem who has refused to move Deadwood and invest properly. I mean, I still think there's a chance that he will invest and move people on in January or summer. But if he does, I'll be pretty angry because he should have done it 4 years ago when Poch, a manager who actually deserved it, should have got it done and asked for it. Far too much potential at the club, nowhere near enough world-class quality and experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll skip one there. Sorry, sorry, Barry. Chelsea don't have Levy's DNA. I'm not sure anyone other than Mike Ashley has Levy's DNA. Simply A says our second string of League One standard not been proved wrong. I mean, in terms of quality that they have shown in the past, they're not League One, but at the moment in time, they just don't look like they care and don't have. Yeah, and Wayne said they're not even that good. But I mean, Brian, I found a barrel earlier. I really scraped the bottom of it to try and find any positivity, and this is the best I could come up with, and it's not particularly good. I'll warn you.
I want to hear it. I want to hear this.
Downgrade your belts just as well as
I want to hear this. I want to hear this. This is the segment you have to put on when you advertise this stream. This is the segment.
Yeah, and then get told you're talking absolute shit. I'm never watching again. I'll unsubscribe. We obviously can't play that second string because they don't give a shit. So we can only really play our first string, but you can't play them in the league and Europa League and then the, not Europa League, Conference League and then the Carabao Cup. So is there any positivity that if we go out of this competition, we can then kind of play our first team in the league, concentrate on the league, getting up that league and the Carabao Cup and try and play our first team as much as possible? And then in January, hopefully, Levy will do something un-Levy-like, and then we can get a bit more of a squad depth. Or is that just the barrel wasn't deep enough?
Yeah, whippersnapper. We've got to do so much with you. Okay, so, mate, no is the answer because I don't trust the first team. I don't trust the first team. I don't trust the second team. I don't trust the reserves. I trust the under-23s. I trust the youth. I trust the under-9s. I trust the under-7s. I trust the under-6 and whatever leagues we have below. Mate, as far as I'm concerned, everyone apart from Romero, fuck off. Fuck off. And I mean everyone. I know it's not going to happen, but they have been tried and tried and tried, and they keep failing. They keep failing. You hear it when managers say, "I've taken the club as far as I can go," and they leave, or the board say, "We've got as far as we can go in this relationship. We split ways." We get to finals and lose regularly, or not regularly, but you know what I mean, more regularly than than obviously winning. And instead of saying, "Do you know what, I think we need to upgrade here. We've been down this road, and this keeps happening." Instead of saying, "Right, we're going to sell you and give the manager new blood to bring in and bring some life into the team," we give them new contracts. We give them new contracts to save us buying. Do you know what you were saying about Mike Ashley? Do you know the difference between Mike Ashley and Daniel Levy, and why Daniel Levy is actually worse?
He's left.
No, because Michael Ashley came out and said, "I'm not giving you any money. I'm not giving you money." So the fans were right. Don't get me wrong, he was a shit chairman. He's an absolutely diabolical chairman, but he spoke the truth. He said, "Listen, I'm not putting money in. I'm not investing." And Newcastle had to wait all this time and protest for that deal to go through. Whether you agree with the deal that happened or not, Mike Ashley said, "I am not giving you money. I am not investing." And he stuck to his word. On the other hand, mate, honestly, I wish if they ever made, you know how they turned Beauty and the Beast into an actual picture movie and all these Disney ones. They should do fucking Pinocchio, because they don't need to get a fucking guy with a big nose. They just need to get Levy, because every time he fucking lies, literally, that's it. Honestly, that's what he should do, because it's pathetic. If we go out of this cup, we're a laughing stock, and the abuse that is coming our way. I mean, on We Are Tottenham TV, when I went during the game, before the game when I was doing the admin on the David Harris pump up, and during the game and after the game, the spamming was just in chats was ridiculous. You just imagine what it's going to be like on social media and your friends and whatever. And if we win it, it's going to be the same. So mate, I'd rather win and get the piss taken out of us. At least we got damn win. But if we get this second place now, because we can still go, technically we can still go out of the Conference League if results don't go our way.
We can't win the group now, can we? We can only get second or out, which
exactly
is ridiculous.
Exactly. And even if we do get the heights of second, the team that we have to play in the qualifying round, which is an extra couple of games because of this fucking bunch of deadbeats, we have to play a team that drops out of the Europa League. We can't even beat Mura. We can't beat the lowest team in the lowest cup competition, and people are talking about doing the rest in the first team. There was a strong team out there last night. There was a very strong team out there last night that should be able to get their jobs done. Now, I don't really want to talk about the players who deserve some credit in the bank, because they're all, apart from Romero for me, they're all overdrawn. And Højbjerg, but that's just because I have a person, and Mura. But just because of my affiliation with them and my like for them. But Romero, obviously, I think everyone will know that guy is quality. That guy is pure quality. We need to talk about the players that need to go out, mate. To me as well now, beforehand, it was about getting players in. Right now, I don't care. Just get some of these fucking bastards out, because they are absolutely disgusting to represent our shirt and wear our badge for our beloved club and put in performance like that. I'd rather see Alfie Devine, who I love. I'd rather see get Harvey White, get Harvey White, get Markham Day, get all these players, get all these players in. Because one thing I will tell you, it may take a long time and we may get thumped a bit, but the one thing I will tell you now is if those people like the Devines and everything come in, they will run their goddamn socks off. They will put in a shift, and if we get beat with them in, it'll be because simply they were the better team. And if the better team, you put your hands up and say, "Listen, they're the better team," but at least you'll see some pride again.
I mean, what do you think, Tommy? In terms of, we spoke about Sanchez on your stream yesterday, and I mean, he's fallen over, slipped over, or lost his footing, or whatever for the first goal. It was a good finish, but got to try and stand him up. I don't know who fell over in the middle of the park for the second goal, but and then it took a deflection. But yeah, I mean, do you think Conte will just literally go to Levy now and go, get them out? I don't care how much money you get. I don't care if you've lost all your money. I don't care. Just get them out. They're not good enough. Get them out. Or do you think he's going to be told, people aren't coming in with a realistic offer, realistic that Levy says. So you've got to stick with them. And then how do you see it going now? Because there's got to be some kind of conversation from Conte's side.
That there had to have been before he signed his contract, because of course he's seen in training with his own eyes that they're useless. But he must have seen before watching Spurs games that they were useless. So he knew sort of what he was coming into to a certain degree. Well, in terms of selling play, well, that's the big one. It's not about having I think Danny Kaye, I love Danny Kaye, but he said something along the lines of we need £250 million in the next 2 transfer windows. That's not what we exactly need. For me, we need to get rid of the dross, sell the dross for 20%, 30% of what Levy once valued them at. If we can do that, we lose the toxicity, we get a little bit of money in, and we make space for players that will try hard. And as Brian said, run for the badge, because that's what we need. That's what we're missing. So he will have to take a hit. That's the key. Levy will have to take a hit on the players.
Do you reckon he will? Do you reckon he will? We spoke.
I think he's going to have to. I think he's going to have to.
But do you think he will? Because we know he has to. The value that he puts on Dele Alli is nowhere near what Dele Alli is going to fetch. And we mentioned if Newcastle come in for him yesterday on your stream that he'll think, I can get more money because they got 300 billion. But do you think he will take the hit if Conte says you need to take the hit, you just need to get them out? Or do you think it will still be the same old problems, the same old Levy, the same manager situation, and the same crap that we have at the club?
Yeah, well, the thing is, us as streamers and us as fans, we don't really know what Levy values them at. Because if there's never been a bidding for Dele Alli, which I'm doubting there has been, then we don't know what Levy values them at, unless someone who's got a drawer full of valuations that Levy's put on each player, like a natural drawer. So we don't know. But from past experience, the fact that he tries to cram out every last £1 million and £2 million out of selling players and tries to drop every £1 million and £2 million out of players, we know the valuation is probably higher than it should be. And I think he'll do it. I think part of Conte coming in, he has to do it. I don't know why he won't. If you're not going to do it, you'd employ someone like Potter again, or you'd employ another Nuno who wouldn't expect that money. So I think he'll do it. We need to. It's not about spending £250 million either. It's about getting the players in that may not have sell-on value, right? So 30, 32 years old. We may not be buying for 10, 50 million. We may not be able to sell them for any money in 2 years' time. But immediate success, they'll give us immediate strength on the pitch. As I said, it doesn't fit into Levy's doctrine. We saw in the summer, Gill come in, £21 million, 21 cost £35 million if you put the Lamella value on there as well. Sarr, £18 million, can't get in the first team for Mets now. Everyone's saying he's going to be world class, can't get on the first team for Mets. So just risky signing. Sessegnon was the same. Clark was the same. £40 million. They haven't started Premier League games. So time to invest in potential is over. We need to invest now, and that's what Conte will demand. That's our best bet. I think we will sell some players. I think we will get rid of some players. And that has to be our focus. Not 50, 60 million pounds on players. Maybe an Ashley Young for £5 million. Maybe, an Alexis Sanchez on loan. Maybe that's where we need to go. But in Conte, you trust. Just do what Conte says and forget about sell-on fees for the next 18 months to 2.5 years. Whether he'll do that is another thing, but the fact that he's appointed Conte will make it has to make you believe that he'll do this. Otherwise, Conte will walk, and just Levy will look even worse. Imagine if Levy employs Conte, doesn't back him, and then in 6 weeks, Conte leaves. Levy's position's untenable. It will be untenable. So will he put himself in that position? I don't think he will. So I think he has to back him. I think he has to.
I'm hoping that's the case, because I agree. Like, there must have been some discussions with Conte saying, I want this, I want that. And Conte doesn't need to go to Tottenham for his reputation, because his reputation is still intact and most clubs would want him. So, yeah, I kind of agree. But, I mean, Levy doesn't really fill you with hope, does he? Wayne Bonner said a lot of the players are leeching off the club. They need all the comforts taken away. And Barry Ambrose has said Black January giveaway needed. I disagree with that and say more of a buy one get one free, so we get rid of two for the price of one. Brian, do you see any chance of us getting rid of some of the deadwood for cut price in January if Conte decides they need to go?
Mate, well, put it this way: I'm constant at the moment. I'm seriously thinking about starting a GoFundMe to actually pay for Dele Alli to leave. So I want to try and make it easier on.
I'm there, mate. I'm there. I'll chuck a donation in. I'll chuck
Honestly,
a donation
mate,
in.
I mean, I want to talk about him separately later on. Let's deal with this as a. It's come to the point now where you look at the team and you look at it over years, and people say, "Oh, this Deadwood's here." So A, he keeps offering them long contracts, and B, for some reason he inflates. I mean, how he sees 40 million in Harry Winks and 30 million he tried to get for Sissoko, even though he bought Sissoko for 30 million. He's got 4 or 5 years older and declined because of his age. It baffles me. I don't. It's not. It's not a. Mr. Sissoko or Harry Winks isn't a property that just keeps increasing. Your contract length and your age and whatever, unless you're someone like Messi who holds his value, you can't do this. And it just makes me laugh that this man who is known for driving hard bargains, for trying to screw people out of money, and then he doesn't like it when it happens to him because he puts overinflated prices.
That's what happens with arrogant people, though, isn't it? They're absolutely fine doing it to other people.
Do you know what? I don't think it's arrogance. I think it's absolute stupidity. I'd like to know the school of business that he went to and where he's this business genius, because he ain't no genius to me.
He's losing money now. He's losing money doing
exactly. All because what happens is every single time, like with Delhi right now, his contract's winding down. His value, let alone his form, his value is decreasing because of his contract. But then it'll get too low where you're not going to get some money. So it's like, oh, do you know what? Let me offer him another contract. So I spend even more money on him just so his value stays up. It's like, get rid of these people. When, like I said, if we all have our jobs and you all have targets, if you are regularly not hitting those targets, you go through the disciplinary procedure or whatever, and then it's like, goodbye, see you later, ta-da. Because that's for us to support. These guys are on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, and they continuously do this. And it's been a roll of players over his tenure where it just keeps happening. And you know what? I mean, if we'll put it this way, we'll soon see, because if these players still are here and we know there's been offers for them, like serious interest, not exactly, Wayne, exactly, brother. It's like I don't go to the supermarket and say, oh, do you know what? I really, really want that. I don't know, that lobster. Let's just say I fancy lobster for dinner, and they go, the lobsters are £50, $50 a lobster, and I go, oh yeah, I'll give you $22. They're not going to go, oh yeah, good deal. And then I don't go back and say, all right, 25. They're like, well, no, it says. That's how life works. That's how reality is. And
yeah, Wayne's comment there was Levy doesn't seem to understand how reality works. But we've said it before. That Lloris deal, I think, was the beginning of this, because he got Lloris, French captain, for an unbelievable deal.
Well, you know what happened with that deal?
Because of his negotiation, and I think he thought, oh, I'm Daniel Levy, I can negotiate. I can sell ice to an Eskimo, I can do anything, me, I'm Daniel Levy. And he tries it with absolutely everything, and people have got wise to it.
The negotiation is a very nice word for putting it. The exact thing happened when it was meant to be £14 million, and then Lens or Leon, whichever team it was with beginning with an L he came from, were, go find, talk to him. As soon as he got in the training ground, he goes, I'll give you 8 million, rising up to 12 million on appearances. And they're like, well, no, the deal's 14. He goes, well, we either do it this way or we'll sign him for free in January. And then they said, okay, we'll do this deal. There's no negotiation. He thinks, good morning, darling. My beautiful wife's just woken up.
Well, it's a kind of negotiation, isn't it? It's a negotiating. You either want the money or you don't. Is essentially.
They were in huge debt at the time, Leon. They had to take the money. They're in huge debt.
Yeah, it's absolutely unacceptable. I keep saying this word, unacceptable. It's unacceptable. and these players, we need them out. And the thing that gets me, and I think I can't remember if I said it on your streams yesterday, Tommy. We've been linked with that Korean defender again, the monster, Kim Jong. I can't remember. I was about to say the dictator. I didn't mean him. Actually, who knows? Him and Levy together. Heaven forbid.
Who's worse?
But apparently we're back in for him now. Now I'm really, really sorry. Antonio Conte has never gone in for this guy ever. Not even. But here we are. And we're getting rumours that the links are we're going for the monster. I'm not going to try and say his name because I'll make a mistake again. We're trying to sign him now. Correct me if I'm wrong. We were after him before Paratici, and we were after him before Conte. So who's orchestrating the transfers? Paratici?
But just playing devil's advocate, what I would say about that is...
Yeah, you're going down from red belt very, very quickly.
I don't want to be red. It's Arsenal colours. I'd rather be lower. But if it's rumours, that could just be rumours and it's not actually true. It's just making stories. But then it could be actually true. And then who the hell is...
cheap option. Let's look. Levy goes for
Tim Minyak J.
Thank you, Wayne. See, Wayne is such a superstar. He's got me out of jail. Thank you, Wayne, brother. Mate, how many more times do people have to realise that the big transfers, next to nothing come off, apart from, let's say, Ndombele and Romero recently, but all the niggly little rumours about these players, they come off. And why? Because the arrogant parasite has to have it his way.
I mean, I think, like I said, the Laurie deal was the beginning of that, and then Højbjerg got a brilliant deal with Carl Walker going the other way. Yeah, and I just don't understand, if he is bidding for these players, why did you get Paratici in the first place as director of football? But let's get
because people believe that he's given Paratici the power. So he's the ultimate scapegoat if things go wrong. And every time Paratici's name gets read out and we talk about Don Paratici, is perfect. Levy's going like this. Because if things fall apart, Paratici the scapegoat and he can get rid of the scapegoat. And Levy still looks good. So it annoys me. It really annoys me whenever Paratici's name pops up. I'll be honest there. Do you know what though? Do you know the Lyon situation? It breaks the bridges with clubs as well. When you do this with clubs,
well, they charged more for Ndombele, didn't they? Because of that,
it's nearly £70 million. How the fuck is Ndombele worth nearly £70 million? Like, even if he realises potential, he's got 60-70 million pounds. Like,
with that though, there were quite a few clubs sniffing around him, so it's Lyon's prerogative to say, well, all these teams want him. I don't mind a bidding war. He's X amount, and then we bid it. But yeah, at the moment in time, he ain't worth that much money. But
Southampton too. What we've done with Wanyama, it was a good deal, but they were struggling financially too. So we're just going to have to pay. It looked like great smart business at the time, and I thought so as a Spurs fan. I thought, oh bloody hell, he's getting Lloris for 8 million, Wanyama for 8 million, Van der Vaart was like 9-10 million, world class player.
But you've got to understand.
It actually affects you later on. It does affect you later on.
You've got to understand, and he's a businessman apparently, so you've got to understand that relationships in business are kind of key. And you've got to understand that while Lyon needed the money, Southampton needed the money so you can get those players on the cheap. Aston Villa don't need the money. So when they say 25 million for Jack Grealish, you pay the 25 million. You don't pay 22 and try and play hardball with their best player. You pay the 25. And when you're paying 22, what the fuck is 3 million? But yeah, so he's got to understand, if he's this great businessman, that different, buying a player isn't one size fits all. It's different scenarios for different players and different clubs. And he doesn't seem to understand that. And it's to our own bloody detriment. And simply, Asa said here, if we don't get rid of a lot of these players, because it works the same way as well. You want to get rid of these players that are crap. You're not going to get the money that you wanted for them when they were playing well in the 16-17 season. If we don't get rid of these players and invest in players, this club will keep tumbling down the hill and be in a relegation battle in the next couple of seasons or worse. I'm not sure relegation battle, but certainly tumbling down. And Wayne... if needs be, use some of the dead wood to transfer deals to bring better players in, players plus cash. But I'm not really sure who the hell would want people like Dele Alli and Winks. He's also gone on to say, exactly, Brian, we're still chasing, being linked to players Levy's been chasing for at least 2 years. Manager has to and should pick the players he wants in his team. But that's been something from even Martin Yole's day. Martin Yole wanted a left back, and then Kamoli went and bought Darren Bent. I mean, Darren Bent can't play as a bloody striker, let alone a left back.
Who was the chairman then?
Yeah, exactly.
My bad.
Yeah, Cody, Mac, players for Spurs who are smart, in my opinion. Laurie, Son, Højbjerg, Romero, Skip, maybe that's it. The rest are literal dumb shits. That's why we keep learning from the same mistakes, learning it in inverted commas. But yeah, I mean, we could go on about Mura and the transfer situation for another 2 days, but we have got a game against Burnley. Burnley are unbeaten in 4. Most of those draws, they are 17th, but they're unbeaten in 4, which suggests difficult to beat. So it's going to be a pretty tight game, I would suggest, Tommy. And something you said as well on your channel yesterday, which I've put a banner for, is how do we cope with Wooden Barnes? Because Dyer will play, and he let Calvert-Lewin, who is a good striker, but not one you'd associate with great header of the ball, out leaping when Everton won 1-0 last year. And Wooden Barnes are great in the air, and that's how Burnley plays. So how do we cope with Wooden Barnes? Certainly if Romero isn't playing.
It's a big problem. It's a big problem. Romero's not. His ultimate ability is not in the air either. He's aggressive on the floor. It's probably not his biggest strength.
But I think he would give a little nudge, I think, before the jump comes in to put them off so they can't jump as high, whereas I'm not sure Dyer, Sanchez, whatever, are quite that savvy.
Sanchez in the air is woeful against strong boys. I remember before the Burnley game, I was assessing him a lot not during my streams, when I was watching games. I watched games back, and Sanchez, when he done the MC Hammer thing against Man City when he fell flat on his face, I just focused on him for the next 10 games. I've focused on him for the next. Yeah, he is. His legs just fly about. They flop about on the floor. He does it once or twice every game. So, and when
it's strange though, isn't it? We were backing him on your channel yesterday, which was around about the same time. So 24 hours ago. Saying
why though, Chris? Because he played good 30 minutes against Leeds. Like Sessegnon played a good 15 minutes against Leeds. We're like, oh, this guy, they're going to be great. Dyer is world class after the Leeds performance. Leeds had no attack. If he fails against Burnley, which he probably will,
we all said
constantly torture ourselves.
Get rid of Vodon, which he hasn't really had. He played yesterday, didn't he, Vodon? But I didn't really notice him in the highlights. I only watched the highlights. But yeah, Sanchez. I mean, me and Brian are in agreement. I think that he's got all the tools.
Absolutely.
But for some reason, it never comes off. And I think it was Dan who was on as well, was saying get rid of Sanchez because he's 27, where the other two in that situation that you gave, Vodon, Tanganga, are young, so could very well be moulded by Conte. But yeah, I mean, how would you go about stopping? It's got to start with a supply, hasn't it? If there's no crosses coming in, there's no chance for Wooden Barnes to head the ball. But if they do cross it in, which will inevitably happen, how would you go about, in terms of sorting out your defence and everything, if you were Conte, go about trying to stop?
So first of all, Chris, what I'm going to bring up as well, and I'm happy you mentioned his name just now, Tommy, Rodon. For me, Rodon is just as guilty for the first goal as Sanchez, if not more. And the reason I say that, Sanchez slipped. It can happen to anyone. It happened to Steven Gerrard famously, and we all know what happened there. And by the way, I'm not saying that Sanchez is anywhere near the class of Gerrard. To me, Gerrard's an absolute icon. But if you watch the replays again, he cut inside and Sanchez slipped. And then rather than Rodon rushing out to him, Rodon just stands there like this with his hands behind his back. Rather than rushing out to try and put some pressure on the shot or to distract him, he just stands there and he's used as a perfect thing to go around. So for that first goal, Rodon is just as much to blame as Sanchez. And that's not me just backing Sanchez up, because Sanchez was woeful. And I will openly admit it yesterday. But Rodon takes responsibility. Listen, for me, the defence needs sorting, because I don't trust our attack. And that's including Harry Kane. And I've been saying this for a long time. Yes, he took his goal well, but what else did he do? Once again. Well done. That's another. If I was to say to you now, we're at November the 26th, and Harry Kane has one Premier League goal. 1.
Hmm.
And it's not like he's had an injury or he hasn't been playing the full games. It's not on, and we need to sort this defence out. We obviously know we're going back 3. Davies, do you know what? Davies didn't start, and it means he plays. And I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy that Davies is coming back in, because I mean this is the state we're in. I mean I can't even remember the substitutes. Did Davies even come on yesterday?
Yeah, I can't remember. I know Son did, Mura did.
Actually, I think he's the guy that fell in the lead up to the second goal, wasn't it? That gave him. I think he did come
on. I think
he did come on.
I can remember him coming on.
But this needs sorting. I mean, yesterday Dyer's the only one actually that can hold his head up. Dyer is the only one that can hold his head up with any kind of respect or whatever, because he put in a shift. And we're playing it. We're having to play him every single game, so we're going to get burnout again, especially at this time where burnout is the last thing you need. Listen, I don't even know where to go anymore. Yes, we've got Conte, but like Conte even said yesterday, I mean his comments yesterday. Oh my God, it's like he's already calling Levy out. When he said I'm happy to be here, it was like, oh my God, here we go. This has got to be a brand new record. But even he said you can have a great car and push it as many times or words to that effect, but it doesn't mean you win a race or whatever. But I don't trust a single one of them. And the only one I do trust right now is Romero, and he's out bloody injured.
And Højbjerg.
Mate, like my love for Højbjerg will mean I always trust him, but he has not been on his top game this season. He's had a couple of good games, but when I was on Paxton Road this week, we saw that he played every single Premier League minute last season. And he's played all but one.
And the Euros have the mental, must be exhaustion and everything. Yep. The Christian Eriksen situation, and then carried on playing for another, I don't know how many more.
Yeah, don't forget, he went to the Euros, got married, and came back to training 2 days early to get started. And he's only missed 1 minute in Premier League football this season.
People are having a go at him. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly. And do you know what? He hasn't been at his best, and I will always trust him because I love him. I love him. But he hasn't been at his top. Romero is the only one I trust. That's including Heung-min Son. That's including Hugo Lloris. Really? That's is it, mate? He look like Tommy said earlier about let's not do that. We got to start blaming the attackers that aren't creating. Son started off on fire. I mean, I don't care what's happened here now. How can Son and Kane be telepathic one season and not even be able to find each other the next? How is that even possible? You built up an understanding over years and said it's because we work at this relationship. And then the next season, what do you say? Yeah, we've done everything now. Let's down tools. No, there is something fundamentally wrong at that club. And I pray we sort this out before Romero gets infected or Romero asks to leave. I'm not saying he's going to ask to leave in January or in the summer. But whilst this poison and this deadwood and this acceptance of mediocrity is there, it's just going to carry on infecting people. It's just going to carry on rotting people. So for Burnley, mate, do you know what? I said, do you know what? When we contacted his first Premier League game at home to Leeds, I said it's probably the best game he could have asked for because we're at home and Leeds just attack, and their defensive issues. And I said on Brian Ireland's other show on the North End pod that Man U could probably not have a worse game to play than Chelsea away on your first Premier League game without Levy. Fuck me, I wish you had him. Without Solskjaer, yeah. Well, now, to tell you the truth, I can't think of a worse place for us to be going right now than Burnley, because this is a game where you know it's going to be a tough game and you need balls and you need battlers and you need spirit. We got none.
Even if Burnley are like no points after 20 games, it's still a really tough game and a really tough place to go. It doesn't matter where they are in the league or how they're playing. It's still a tough game.
And this is the thing, Chris, as well, because we were talking about Leicester at the moment and their decline, and their running is fairly easy over Christmas, like Norwich's, Southampton's, whatever. But I said, you know what? That's probably the worst teams to be playing right now because they're games you should be winning, and if you don't, it's going to put more pressure. And right now, after that performance, and then going to Burnley and having a bad performance, it just really really isn't good. And the people I feel really sorry for are the hardcore fans that went out to Mura should be refunded immediately, but we're a club that will never do that. And the Spurs home fans are great, but the Spurs away fans that travel everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. I know a lot of people that literally, there's a lot of the Levy Out Brigade that will go to all the away games because they're season ticket, but they will not step foot in the ground. They will not step foot in the ground. And these people, like when they went to Burnley last time, the Carabao Cup, some people didn't get back till 4 a.m. because there's no public transport. So it was like ridiculous trying to get whatever, and it's just shocking. It's just shocking. I have absolutely no confidence whatsoever going into this game. Absolutely none.
Yeah, well, that brings us on to one of the comments, but we'll get to one first from Simply A. So, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sessegnon cost around 140 million total, still not fit. I mean, they may not be fit, but Sessegnon should know better than that. And all three of them should be able to put a shift in and do something against a team like Mura, with no disrespect to Mura.
That's 140 million. Think what that 140 million could have done.
Yeah.
Think what that 140 million could have done.
We talk about business. We talk about bad business. That's 140 million pounds. Grealish would have cost 20. And even if we sold Grealish on, it's another 80 million. That's a 220 million pounds wasted, because you could have got 100 million pounds for Grealish, spending 20, and then you've spent because you haven't bought Grealish. You've had to get number 10s in. And Ndombele and Celso were the number 10s.
The Grealish one I couldn't understand, because what is 3 million when you've already paid 22? Oh, it's just ridiculous. But
the great businessman's not such a great businessman. He's not such a great businessman now. He's losing serious amounts of money.
I think the Loris thing has basically made him get a bigger ego and think I can do anything I want. And I think, as brilliant as that signing was, I think it's been a detriment for the next how many
100%
years we've had Loris.
100 million %. I agree with that.
Simply Ace then kind of follow suit with what you said, Ryan. Burnley will win this game with a set piece. Best way to beat Burnley is to dominate possession, but we can't even pass straight. And then Højbjerg mentioned with Wayne, which I've already read this, and I totally agree. Højbjerg walks onto that pitch, exhausted after last year or so, still sweats blood for our team. Brentford Cup game last season, tried to continue when his shin was cut open. And I mean, people won't generally have a go at Ali. They've kind of gone, fine, I can't be bothered with it.
Are we doing an inspection?
Well, we can do, yeah. But you don't see that many people have a go at Ali because they've just given up with him. But then they have a go at Højbjerg and moan that Ali doesn't try. But then Højbjerg does try. And then, have a go at him. But, I mean, Delhi, Brian, I'm assuming this isn't going to be something that's going to get you a Christmas card from him. But what would you want to say about Delhi?
I've done a few tweets about him over the last 24 hours. The fall from grace is appalling. The fall from grace is disgraceful. The fall from grace is abysmal. The fall from... Thank you, darling. The fall from... it's just, you know what? It's absolutely fucking horrific. It's absolutely disgusting how this guy is even allowed to come into the squad. I'd like to put him in under 23s like we did for Danny Rose, but I wouldn't want to give Danny the satisfaction of playing with people at 23 and stopping them.
Dele Alli said it's not worth wasting his breath on Dele Alli, but unfortunately we're on a stream, so we have to talk about him and waste
he is.
That's what my beagle thinks of Dele Alli.
Well, do you know what as well?
Your beagle's showing a bit more intensity than Dele Alli shows on the pitch.
Do you know what? The thing that gets me, and I use this what I said before a lot. You look at footballers; they have a limited time to earn their. I mean, he's earning big bucks; it's not a big problem, but he's never going to want to work again and whatever. But your career is very short as a player, and you've got a job that there's billions of people around the world that would do literally anything to experience, whether it be for 5 minutes, 5 years, whatever. And when you've got someone at the football club like Ryan Mason, whose career ended like that, not through choice, not through his own doing, but through a horrific injury that quite frankly could have killed him. Not like a broken, it could have killed him. and he has to make it. All right, don't get me wrong. He's going to earn good money as on the coaching staff or what he was doing. You know, I mean, but when you see that a player's career can go like that, even at the I can't remember how young he was when it happened, but he was in his 20s, mid
26, 27,
there you
something
go.
like that.
Which is so Dele Alli's what 25 now, and to know that he can go like that, your career could be wiped out, and he acts like this. He acts like this, and then you look at it, and all the players and the managers say, "Do you know what? Let's have a. I want to be able to show my grandkids and my kids my trophies I've won, and I've won my accolades, and this is that. What's he going to go down for? I snogged Pep's girlfriend, daughter. I'm very good at Fortnite, and I had this stupid, ridiculous Crayola crown haircut. It's I mean, have some respect for yourself, man. Have some fucking respect. And the fact that he still doesn't come out and apologise. Don't worry, everyone. He'll go to Dubai and get a six-pack because that really... Why everyone fell for that nonsense? Oh, I'm going to
Does it
get
every
fit.
summer.
Mate,
Does it every summer.
people fall for it. I've got a six-pack because I must admit, in all these stats that I've checked on me, I can't... Where it says, do you know what, the most goals off a six-pack or the biggest six-pack of the year or the biggest... Pathetic. The guy is a disgrace. I would have made him walk home from Slovenia. I would have made him walk home, and I'm not, mate. I would have made him not. I would have taken his passport and said, "Well, you'll need to call the embassy now and get your new passport." I would have done anything. He has to go. His attitude is probably, and this is a big shout for me, is probably the worst attitude I've ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur. The worst attitude. Now, if you mentioned Judas didn't really show his bad attitude. He just went on a free and whatever.
He still put an effort in the game.
Do you know what? I think it's a toss-up between him and Ndombele, to be honest with you.
No,
I think his is atrocious as well.
Don't get me wrong. Ndombele is not, but this you got to remember he's come from France. He knows he's a lazy, but whatever. We kind of saw that and knew what we were getting from the start. When you see what he was doing at MK Dons, what you saw that he was capable of at Tottenham Hotspur, when you saw what he was doing at England. And then even with Jose, when you saw for the first few games when he did that incredible flick against West Ham and that incredible goal against Manchester United with the little touch, and then he's got it. You know he has got it, and he has the capability to do it on a regular basis. And he's doing this for countless amount of managers. And I keep going on again about when he's on the goddamn physio couch and he's talking about name your 3 favourite chocolate bars. No. Let's name your 3 fucking bad attributes and work on them. You got more than 3, trust me, and work on them. He is absolutely. We got people that would do anything for Tottenham Hotspur for a fraction of what that guy earns, and he does this. Mate, honestly, I can't. The day he goes, I will be such a happy guy. I will be so happy when Dele Alli leaves this football club, and I never, ever, ever want to see him in a Spurs shirt again, ever.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of Dele, Tommy? Because I did feel a little bit sorry for him a few years ago because I thought he's one of these players that needs a certain system to play, and people like Eriksen and Dembele created so much space for him, and he was able to run into that and then sort that out, and then that was his game, running into the space off the ball, and then obviously those two went, and then he had to kind of adapt, and he's just completely gone to pieces with it. And with Ndombele, what I would say about him is Jose publicly called him out on TV, I think, ironically enough, after the Burnley game in that season. And he stepped up and then got back into his team. So with his attitude, I think it's markedly better than Dele's because he's tried, whereas Dele just seems to not want to care. And Brian made a good point with, it can just go like that. And I do think with Dele, he was 18-year-old or whatever it was like that, and then became a millionaire. But then people get luck in life, and that's fine. You've got to take that luck and realise that it's luck, and then take that to better yourself. Not just, well, I've got luck, I don't need to do anything anymore. Which is, he's seemingly more interested in his computer games, in his sponsorships, in his hair, in his private life. He's a bloody footballer, for Christ's sake.
I thought he was going to say private parts then. But, no,
well, he probably is.
He's probably got Crayola coloured, what down there as well.
That's probably higher than football in his list of priorities, I would imagine. But he's supposed to be a bloody footballer, and yet every time he goes onto the pitch, he can't pass the ball and doesn't. He just ambles around and I mean, what do you think of him?
It's just. Do you know what? Do you know what? He doesn't owe us. He doesn't owe us anything. He doesn't owe us a living. We need to move him on. It's as simple as that. We need to get rid of him. As soon as you start seeing this destructive behaviour, what I think it is now, I don't think it is just attitude. I think it's quality. I think his attitude was shocking for 2 years, and now I think that is what he's become. He's become that player, and I don't think he can turn it back now. I really don't think he'll get it back. I think his quality is gone. For too long, he pissed about. Conte can take the ketchup away. He can take the video games away. He can do whatever he wants. I think Dele's just a complete lost cause. I just think his time has to come to an end. And I'm with Brian. He's the first one we need to move on. He really is. Yeah. He's the first one that he just needs to go. Imagine young players that are looking at. We've got a quality under 23s right now. We're going to bear a lot of fruit in the future. Imagine looking up, seeing Dele Alli amble about, Ndombele amble about. This is what you do as a professional footballer. No, it's not just what they're not offering the team. It's the toxicity, and it goes down. It goes down to all levels. We don't need that. It will bring the players around him down, and it will certainly bring the young players down. You can't have them as the players you're looking up to. It's going to be problematic. Dele Alli, please, even if it's on loan, please, can we just get rid of him in January? I think getting rid of some of these toxic players, we'll just see a turn. We'll just see a turn right there, straight away. I honestly do believe that.
And then that's the lottery. Do they go or do they not? A couple of comments. Bob Spurs sent his apologies, but no apologies necessary, Bob. No worries at all. Hope you're doing well. Josh, Tottenham guy, how you doing, Josh?
I just want to say to Josh has just tuned in. So Josh, thinking of you, buddy. He's going through a bit of a very tough time now, and he needs a lot of support. So Josh, I'm here for you whenever you need, mate, and just give me a call if you need.
Same, brothers. Same, mate. I do a lot of streams with Josh, man. I didn't know about that. Josh, take it easy, brother. Take it easy, man. Take it easy.
Yeah, I don't know Josh that well, but obviously you know my Twitter handle and mobile number. So if you need anything, just ping me a message. And Barry, Dele finished, showed it last night. Last night, you could probably put the last 15 nights that he's played, I think, with that. But in terms of Burnley, Tommy, will Conte pick the same team as the Leeds game, the same team that started? For me, I think he has to as much as he can, because that team won, and certainly in the second half showed that they want to win.
So I'm trying to think.
What do you think the lineup will be?
So he was forced to make changes, wasn't he, in the Leeds game? Skip being suspended. I think Skip will come back.
Is he back? It was 5 yellows, wasn't it? So it's just suspended.
So it's just a one game ban. Yeah. It wasn't due to a sending off. So I think
Romero was obviously enforced as well.
Yeah, it looks like Romero's going to be out for longer than expected too, which is hard. He is our best centre back. I mean, I think it's too early to start rating Romero. To be honest with you, I still think it's too early. But for me, already he's our best centre back. So we've lost our best centre back.
Who plays instead of him? The same as Leeds? I think it was Davies. It was Tanganga and Dyer, wasn't it?
Tanganga came in, didn't he? Yeah, Tanganga came in, but it was subbed in the second half. So we as Spurs fans thought, Sanchez played well for 30 minutes. Before the Mura game
maybe Tanganga would be a good thing after what he did to Sterling and Grealish, just bashing into them, show they're in for a game. Maybe that's the kind of thing. Burnley are kind of a physical team, aren't they, really? So maybe that's the thing that's needed, rather than a Sanchez who presumably try and be touch tight but not be physical.
I would much prefer Tanganga.
I'd have Tanganga, I think. And I'd pick the same team that won that second half against Leeds. I don't think there were any subs, were there, until later on. So I think it was the same team that started.
I would put Skip back in. One of the problems is they got their outstanding player this season. Is
I meant the defence. Yeah, obviously Skip comes in for Winks, but exactly the same team I'd put in, and just they were the last team to win. I'd try and avoid as many of the players from last night as physically possible. Kane, obviously the exception, of Dyer, I think, played as well.
Yeah, so it's Sanchez. It's between Sanchez, Rodon, and Tanganga, isn't it? With Ramiro for that position on the right now that Ramiro's out. It could be either one of them. I don't think it's going to be Rodon. I don't want to keep dissing the guy. I just don't think he's good enough for Spurs. I think Brighton are interested. That's his sort of level. So I think Tanganga, the fact that he's 21, give him a run of games. Just give the man a run of games because I think he's got everything. If the centre back quartet is struggling like it is now, just give Tanganga a run of games because I think he can come good. And we've said for a long time, fellow streamers, right centre back could be his perfect role. So I would put him in, not just because Sanchez had a hard time last night. Just give. He's a Spurs boy through and through, like Skippy. We're building for the future. It's good to see these. It's good to see these youth players coming through, and he's more than good enough. The problem with Burnley is Cornet. I think they got Cornet and Dwight McNeil on the same side, and it's on Emerson's side. And defensively, he is struggling massively.
I love Dwight McNeil. I'd love him at Spurs.
He's a quality player.
I'd take him in a heartbeat.
Outstanding player. Cornet is killing it as well on that side for Burnley. He is big time. He is Lyon guy as well. Only cost £15 million. I think we missed out there. So they do have some quality, and I worry about Sanchez in the air against big guys. Sanchez is a liability. He's a liability for Colombia when he comes up against the big guys. I do worry. I think Tanganga would be the best option. Davis looks fine. He knows how to play left centre back, and Dyer's okay. Do you know what? Dyer's okay with the big boys. He might be okay with Wood. He struggles with pace. As soon as there's a bit of pace, he's in trouble. So I think we should be favourite. We go into it as favourites. You know, we beat Burnley away from home in the Carabao Cup. They weren't at their strongest. And that was under Nuno. So I'd still make us favourites. And it's only one injury. We still only have one injury, Ramiro. Imagine it's going to get a lot worse than that going into the festive. So it's still one injury and we're worried. But I'd still, you have to be favourites, even away at Turf Moor.
Yeah, just quickly, 14 people watching, but only 6 likes. So come on, people, get that tallying up.
Have you got 150 yet? Have you got the 150 yet? Smash that. Subscribe,
I don't know. Let me have a look on the phone. But message here from Josh. It's hard to pick a team. Not going to lie, half the lineup need to go. I mean, is that the first team as well, Josh, or just the second team? Also said. Delhi, Dyer, Winks all need to go. It's a matter of urgency. Wouldn't even be mad to see Højbjerg go. Bang average. Oh dear. Brian?
So no. I mean, I'm not going. I mean, he's mentioned 2 players there. Højbjerg. He knows my love for Højbjerg. But like I've said the whole time, you got to remember I've said this the whole time. Under Conte, as much as I love Højbjerg, if there's an upgrade on Højbjerg, there's no room on ceremony here or sentiment. If we get an upgrade on Højbjerg, you get an upgrade on Højbjerg. I don't care. That's how you win stuff. I wouldn't put him in that list to get rid of. Neither right now Dyer. The other 2, 100%. But the only mate, I'm going to tell you my starting 3. 3. Lloris, Dyer, Skip. Or Skip or Højbjerg, depend which one he does. I don't want to see both of them together because it's just not been working on an attacking side, and we need attacking. The rest I don't care. I actually just don't care. My mission now isn't to or my resources and time and effort. Yeah, I'll watch the games and everything, but it's not in this. It's doing what I set out to do from the beginning, and it's getting the parasite out. So that's where all my thought and everything else is going. The manager's paid enough to pick the team. I'm sorry he's got to pick a bunch of deadbeats and shit, but that's because of the parasite that I'm going to try and get out with everyone. That's where I go. Listen, whatever team he picks, we can't beat a team called Mura. As Simeon said yesterday, do you realise we've lost every single one of our away games in the Carabao Cup? Carabao Cup in the Conference League. Oh no, we drew with Rennes. Sorry, what do you fucking do? Lost to Paco, lost to Mura, lost to Vitesse, and drew with Rennes.
I mean, you can't keep picking like loads of the first team because they're going to get absolutely destroyed physically by the by Christmas. But just had a look online. 150 we've reached subscribers now. I actually said it wrong earlier. I meant 200 I want, so not 150, but I appreciate it. 200 we want now, so that's the next target. Josh has asked, do you think Cesc could play that box-to-box midfielder role alongside Skip and Højbjerg? I'm not sure. I think he's cut out to be a wing-back. Like the Victor Moses part. And just quickly, Bob said, thanks to you two guys contributing to a great show last night. Like I said on the stream last night, it's probably the best thing to have happened to Conte so far since arriving. I'm assuming that's because it literally shows him what he's got to work with. But yeah, Tommy Sessegnon, box-to-box midfielder.
No,
I'm not sure on that.
I'm sorry, but no. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Just no. He can't play in his best position, left wing back. So I don't. It looks like it suit him the most. I saw him play for the under-23s earlier on in the season as well. It just looks.
I can only assume yesterday he's really wanting to make an impression. He's got a bit too excited, but you can understand that with somebody who's like 18 and only played 1 or 2 games. Sessegnon has played in the Premier League and you've got to be smarter than that, surely. I just don't understand that at all, and that's not going to,
he needs to be loaned out again. He needs to be loaned to a Premier League club.
I mean, Conte needs players that he can trust, and if you're going to get sent off like that, very quickly, Conte ain't going to trust you, and Conte won't be able to trust you. But very quickly, Brian, Tommy mentioned it earlier with the Carabao Cup win against Burnley. Will that give us any edge in terms of kind of mentality, or make Burnley wary, or will both sets of teams just think, well, that was then, this is now? Those were kind of a second team, second string and half, and it won't make a blind bit of difference.
Did beating Leeds and beating Vitesse give the team confidence to go to Mura? Did that give us an edge?
No.
Listen, these players earn a hell of a lot of money. Like I keep saying, as everyone knows, doing the things we love. But when you get paid this money and when you do these things, you're not just paid for your ability on the pitch. You're paying for the mentality, for the winning mentality, for the good, humble, feet on the ground attitude, their passion, their commitment. It's not just what they do on the pitch, it's how they conduct themselves off it. And I'm not talking about in their social life. I mean, in the training ground. The experience they soak up. You look at players that have been at United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, that have been there for years. They soak up this experience and it becomes a sponge, and they pass it on to everyone. They say, this is a winning culture. This is what. There's none of this here. There's none of this here. If anything, it'll probably give, if anything, sorry, Chris, it'll give Burnley more of an edge because they'll want revenge for being knocked out of a cup. Because let's face it, the only real possibility Burnley have a win in silverware is if they go on a cup run.
Same as us. But yeah, do you think Conte will be able to bring that winning mentality? Because my question earlier, is there any positivity in going out of the Conference League? Which Conte will say absolutely not, because winning is winning. But so, do you think he can bring that winning mentality? We're all a lot of streamers, certainly on Twitter as well, impressed and pleased with the reaction that he gave to all of the players after the Leeds game. The high fiving and everything, and And I thought at the time, I think I said this yesterday on your stream, Tommy, that that to me is trying to get the winning mentality in. Every win matters. Do you think he can get that winning mentality in? It's going to take time, and you need a lot of that dead wood out. But do you think in time, in his time at Tottenham, he will be able to get that in?
I think I just purchased a ticket to the Rennes game, so I hope we win. I hope we win the Rennes game. But overall, I'm not that bothered about the Conference League. I said before the Conference League started, I wanted to beat Pacos. When we lost in the first leg, everyone lost their shit. Rightly so, because we shouldn't be losing to Pacos. I was like, I hope we qualify, because we need the 6 games for the youngsters, to give the youngsters some game time. But the fact that we haven't really used it for the youngsters, and we're still losing games, I don't care if we don't make it. If we've got a lack of depth in it next after February, which we might have, because Conte might not invest, Levy might not invest. It wouldn't be completely surprised if he doesn't. We don't need the games. We don't need the extra games. And we're just going to go out anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? We're going to go, as you see, you've got good Europa Leagues going in there. It looks like the best we can do is qualify. Is have that 16 round. I think that's it. We've got the FA Cup to focus on, Carabao Cup, and most importantly, the league. The league's the bread and butter. So I wouldn't be that angry if we went out a Conference League, if I'm honest. But I do hope we win against Rennes. I hope we win against every team, but obviously I hope we win against Rennes, and it's a good performance.
Even if a game that you paid a ticket for, which will be freezing bloody cold, and you see an abject performance, you wouldn't be that bothered.
Oh no, be bothered. Definitely.
Maybe on reflection, but at the time when you're shaking like a
but
dog,
in the
then,
whole,
not.
But in the whole scheme of things, the Conference League going out wouldn't mean a great deal to me, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, Bob's put a quote here from Conte about Levy. If we can combine this ability off the pitch with what I can give on the pitch, we can really set up a serious and profound work. So it's very different to what all the other managers have been saying. They haven't mentioned Levy at all, really. They've all said, and Mark from Emotion Pod mentioned this on here a little while ago. Conte, in all of his press conferences, hasn't mentioned that the players are good enough. He's mentioned the great infrastructure, the great training ground, and blah, 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 but not the great players. So what do you read into that, Brian?
So, I mean, first of all, the thing I want to say is, well,
Conte, your favourite person.
No, I mean, I mean, what? See, I've got a fault. No, the one thing I do want to say about just very quickly was about the hug and everything after Leeds game. Do you know what? For me, the people that was aimed at and the people that have taken more from that is the fans. Fuck the players. For the players, for the fans to see that's what a manager does, and you saw him on the touchline doing this. The fans are totally behind Conte. Every single one of us, whether you Levy in or Levy out, that was to show, like Klopp does with the Kop when he goes like that at the end of every game, whether they win, lose, or draw. That's what he needs to do. He needs to wake the crowd up and make it that place of fortress. Because boy, does he need us, because the players can't do it for him. The players have just disrespected him with the way they played yesterday. So what Conte said yesterday, I mean, do you know what? I watched it at a friend's house. So I was on I got public transport, and then whilst I was waiting for my Uber, and I got to so I heard the comments, and then We Are Tottenham TV played the press conference of that with him saying it. And do you know what? I'm so happy he said it. I'm so happy he said it, because he has been called out to his face in no uncertain terms about the state of this club.
What do you reckon Levy's response? Not response as in public, but in his head, like what he thinks about what Conte said there.
Mate, I think it's water off the duck's back. Mate, listen, I mean, this is the way I looked at this whole Conte coming in thing is Paratici had to fire Nuno, which is a core part of his responsibility. I get that. But Daniel Levy hides behind Paratici. I'll get you to do it because that's your job, blah, blah, blah. Levy had nothing to do with bringing in Conte. He may have signed everything off, but Paratici was the big fish that hooked him in and was the X factor to get it in. Now, if you watch that first video when he's having the walk around the stadium and he's doing that first little talk, like that 3-minute video they do to welcome to Tottenham Conte. Did you see that little fucking rat and parasite in the changing room having little jokes with him and looking like the big I am? Where was Paratici? Nowhere. So it's when the good stuff is happening. Oh, here I am. Look what Daniel Levy did. Woohoo! Champagne and Skittles. But when it's the bad shit, we'll get Paratici to do it. The club is fundamentally wrong. The fact that Conte has come out and said that, I'm just so happy. Like Bob said, this is the best thing that I mean, in the most embarrassing result in this club's 139-year history. The fact that Conte's come out and said this, like I said, Levy out people can't lose, because he either backs him seriously and with the players he wants, and we start winning and mission accomplished on that side, or he screws this up. And it's thunder and lightning.
Guys, I've really got to go. I just got some really bad news about my stepson. He's about hospital with my stepson, so I've got to run, boys.
Tommy, if you need me,
cheers for having me, Chris.
If you need me, call me.
All right, cheers, boys.
Same here. Tommy Talks Ball, check that out. Hopefully he's okay. And Tommy Talks Ball is in the description. You can find that on YouTube. Just type in Tommy Talks Ball, or go to Tommy's Twitter handle, which is in the description as well. You'll be able to find the link there. But sorry, Brian.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. It's just it gets to the point now where, like I said to you, whatever happens on the pitch now, I love my club. I'll bleed blue and white. I'll support the club. This happened to me before, just before lockdown, and ironically, it was Burnley. That Burnley away game where we drew 1-1, then it was lockdown. I came home I was still working for Booking.com then. And I said to my wife, I'm not watching Tottenham anymore. I refuse to watch them live. I said, I watch Match of the Day in the evening when you're asleep, whatever. But I said, I refuse to watch them. I refuse to watch them because this is killing me. And not only was it killing me, I take defeats very, very personally. And I get in a foul mood. And it spoils the time I have with my wife. Like, I'll come back and what do you want to do? I don't fucking know. Let's do. Do you want to watch a movie? No, fuck. It's not fair. It's not fair on her. I spend a lot of my time, and this is why once I've done this stream, I'm doing nothing till the two Bryans because she's taking the day off, and I'm spending every single second with her because I love her, and I don't get to see her because I'm too busy doing this shit. But we're getting to that point again where Tottenham is starting to become an issue in my life, and I don't mean that badly. I mean the way I react to it and the way that I see this club being handled, run, and the way they're playing. And I don't want it to come to that, but it's got to the point now where the results. I want us to win, but quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. The only win I have in my head is getting this parasite out, and then whatever happens, happens. But this is it. It's starting to. You know how everyone watches Arsenal fan TV when they lose? That's what we're becoming. I don't mean us as in we're more entertaining when we lose, but that's the thing where people are starting to come and watch us more from other shows and other channels and supporters clubs when we're losing, and it's just not on, and it's starting to affect me, and I've got to be careful because I'm not going to let it get to where it was with Burnley. So yeah. My main aim is the biggest victory for me is getting this parasite out.
Yeah. Just a quick message, Josh. You should have the link on WhatsApp. So yeah, if you're free,
I've got 10 minutes maximum.
Cool.
So Josh may be able to carry on after I've gone if he comes on.
Yeah, if you're around in the next 10 minutes, Josh, come on. If not, then yeah, we'll end the stream when Brian's got to go, and then we'll get Josh on at some point in the future. But yeah, I mean. Burnley, what are your predictions for that? Obviously, it's going to be a tough game. I think it's not going to be a free-flowing open game, but then we haven't had one of those in about 3 years. But yeah, predictions for it. What are your thoughts looking ahead to the game? What do you think will happen? What do you think the score will be? Yeah.
I'm not going to say the score. I think I need to go like you and stop predicting things. Or maybe the score. Maybe I'll predict the result. Listen.
And I didn't predict the score on Tommy's channel yesterday, and we lost. So maybe I should bloody start.
Maybe we should switch. Maybe we should switch, Chris. Listen. I think it'll be a draw. Listen. I want us to win. Of course, I want us to win, but I can't see with this team, even with the great Antonio Conte. I mean, the only thing you can think of is he's probably given them the biggest bollocking. I mean, that plane journey home. If I was Conte, mate, I probably would have lost my voice because I'd have been screaming and shouting at him the whole goddamn way home. Yes, I'm going to say a draw. Listen, if we lose, I'm going to go absolutely apoplectic. But yeah, I'm going to say a draw just because I do not trust our players, and the one player I deeply trust may not be in till after Christmas.
Yeah, I've actually sent a thing to Josh incorrectly.
I can send him the link.
Yeah. I've sent it to the wrong group, so hopefully he's got it now. But yeah, I can't see this being a high-scoring game, if at all. I could easily see it being 0-0. I could easily see it being a 1-1, like you say. I think we have to get that playmaker and creative player because I think that's a big issue stunting everything. How you doing, Josh?
How you doing, boys?
Josh, you okay, brother?
Yeah, just getting by, mate. Just trying to keep myself occupied.
Okay. Well,
best you can do.
8 p.m. Mondays, 12:30 Fridays. If you need something to do, then I do a stream here. So just let me know, and I can ping it over to the
nice one.
to you. But yeah, thoughts on yesterday? We got some of your thoughts in the chat, but thoughts of yesterday and thoughts of what you predict kind of for the Burnley game.
Where do I start? Where do I start about yesterday?
Just start somewhere and then let it just roll off and then carry
It just isn't good enough, is it? Like, I'll put it in another stream, just a little bit of food for thought. Hugo Lloris, who is our oldest keeper, our oldest player, whose contract expires at the end of the season, is worth more than the whole Mura team put together. And we're still we're still losing. They weren't even playing at their own ground because their ground isn't up to UEFA regulations, and we still lose.
Yeah.
It's terrible. There was not one person on that pitch that is primarily at fault. They all played terribly. Every single one of them, and they all need their head checked. They need a reality check.
We've been saying that for about 3 years, though, haven't we? After Zagreb, after Munich, after Leipzig, it's just like a bloody wheel, isn't it? It just carries on it each year back, each year back.
It's Spursy.
Yeah.
It's ultimately and utterly Spursy.
And Burnley, what do you see for that game? I can't see it's going to be a high scoring game. I don't even think
we're going to get the result, mate. I don't even think we're going to get the result.
Really? Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't think we're going to get the result. I think the Carabao Cup one was a one-off because I think when they didn't exactly play their strongest lineup, and neither did we, and we clinched it. I mean, this is Premier League. It's a different kettle of fish. We ain't going to get the result. Not at all.
I mean, who do you think will be in the lineup? I know you said in the chat that it's very difficult to tell. So now you're here.
No, it is difficult. But I want to see Skip playing. I think Skip needs the running. I'd go as far as to say I don't even want to see Højbjerg play. I want to see Ndombele.
I think with Højbjerg, like we said earlier, I don't know if you were watching at the time. He played 50 league games, was it last season? He played pretty much all of the Euros, barring one game because they didn't get through a final. The mental effects it must have taken on with the Eriksen situation, and so mentally tired and got to be physically tired as well. So I think it's understandable that he's having a bit of a dip in form, and it coincides with us being absolutely terrible for the first.
I don't think it's a dip in form, mate. I just think he's bang average at best. I think he's bang average. I don't see. I mean, you look at the stats of him compared to Giovanni Lo Celso. Like Højbjerg has done more in one season than what Giovanni Lo Celso has done in two. But again, I don't rate Lo Celso. I've nicknamed him the shit show for a reason. Like there was legit, Giovanni the shit show. Like there was legitimately a Twitter account called Stop That GLC that highlights every bad touch that guy has made. Yeah.
I do have some sympathy. What do you think of Lo Celso, Brian? I do have some sympathy for him and Ndombele in the sense that they've played all across the midfield. They haven't nailed down a position. So some players need that position to. You look at Kane, for example. Like he's always a striker. He just learns how to be a striker. Whereas Lo Celso and Ndombele are playing all across the midfield and every week playing in a different position. So it's possibly difficult to nail that position down. Whereas for Argentina, he probably plays in exactly the same kind of position. What do you think of Lo Celso?
I don't know who you're talking about. I do know we have a player called Giola Anderton. But I don't know if this person you're speaking of, that's what I've been calling him for a while. Giola Anderton. But the thing is, Anderton was my first Spurs player that I loved after Gazza, and I used to have my name in his number. Listen, again, you know what it is? People buy players in other clubs and they look at them and they scout. You look at the perfect example I'll give you, Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry was bought as a winger, and Arsene Wenger said, I'm going to make you into a striker. I know you've got the capabilities to do it. I'm going to turn you into a striker. And for me, he's the greatest player to ever play in the Premier League. And I hate saying that because of who he plays for. Undoubtedly, for me, the greatest player to play in the Premier League. And that's including Ronaldo. We seem to buy these players, and it's just like, oh, he looks good. He looks like he's got a bit of creative. Let's just pick him. we're picking individuals, thinking that you can just drop them into the team, like on Google Map when you just drop the yellow person. It's just like, oh, just drop him in there, and like Josh does his Football Manager game on his channel. Everyone check out his channel because it's banging. It's a new channel. Get on it. And people just think it's kind of like we're kind of like the Galacticos of Real Madrid. Where we just buy all the best, or they used to buy all the best players and thinking because you buy the best, everything's fine, they'll all work together. We buy individuals. There's no cohesion. There's no thought, how does that guy benefit the team? It's a prime example. I'll bring another one back. Soldado. Roberto Soldado, who came in, and that guy is a great striker. But why he was a great striker was he had a record of scoring 25 plus league goals in La Liga 5 years in a row. And the scouts would have seen that the way he did that is he had a strike partner. And he had a big guy and a little guy. He was obviously the littler. And he was a fox in the box, and he had a guy to work on. So we scouted him. Oh, we're bringing in this brilliant La Liga player, 25 goals a season for 5 years. What a great guy. Come to Tottenham. Okay, I know you play in a 2, but now you're going to play in a 1.
And we never got the ball into the box for him, did we?
Oh,
so how are you expecting him to score is anyone's guess.
Well, it's not just that, Chris. His job was, as a 1, you're going to create the space for the on-running midfielders to run. And then at the time, if you look at it, we had Andros Townsend, who wouldn't cross because he just cut in and shoot. And we had Aaron Lennon, who near the end of his career couldn't cross. So we had someone that wouldn't cross and someone that couldn't cross, to a player playing in a 1 who has scored 25 plus La Liga goals playing as a 2. But because he looks good, let's bring him to Tottenham and hope it works. And that's what we do. Ndombele, the same. Don't get me wrong, we all know. I mean, I'm this close to saying fuck off. I'm this close. Like, really, we're in touching distance now. But we buy him because he looks good and he plays in part of a team, and there's no doubt his unquestionable his ability when he's on it. But it's so few and far between that we're just like, oh yeah, but look at that. Do you remember that trick or that goal against Sheffield United where he lobbed it? I mean, that's what we do. We just pick players, and there's no accountability. Everything in this club has to be called into question. And I am going to say on that note, because it's 9:15, I said 10 minutes, I'm going to leave you with my brother Josh here. Josh, listen, like I said, call me, okay?
Will do, mate.
Always an absolute pleasure, brother.
It's always great having you on, Brian. Just before you go, Tottenham on Tour, it'll be in the description, but if people don't know where it is, where can they find it?
YouTube, Tottenham on Tour. Obviously, Brian Iden runs the Twitter, which is just Tottenham on Tour, but without the spaces. And yeah, we've got 2 Brians tonight. There's lots of new shows coming your way in December and January, and moving forward, we've got quite a few ideas. We're on the push for 1,000, but at the moment we're just trying to get to 800. I think we're at. Let's just see where we are. Let me surprise myself. Have we gone up? Let me just have a bit of a vain moment here. Yes, we're up to 770. We're 30 away from 800. So yeah, we're trying to get there, and lots of stuff to come your way. And the first one will be the 2 Brians tonight at 7 p.m. my time, which is Eastern, and obviously midnight back home. So I want to thank everyone. Really, Chris needs to get to this 200. We need to get him there. It's a great channel. I come on here regularly. So welcoming, so friendly. Become a very good friend of mine. Everyone, make sure you like and subscribe to his channel. And Josh, love you to pieces, brother. You know where I am if you need me. He's got a brand new channel, which is the football. What is it called again? Josh the football. Tottenham guy.
Josh the Tottenham guy. Josh the Tottenham guy. Yeah.
Check it out. He's doing loads and loads of stuff. From Championship Manager, no, Football Manager. Championship Manager was better, by the way. That's my.
It was.
And he's just a great guy, and he's new on the scene, new on the circuit. Everyone get around and support him because he deserves it. And yeah, love you both. I'm now going to go spend some quality time with my wife because I haven't seen her for the last 3 days because of bloody streaming. And I will leave with the best 2 words and words that I want to hear echoing around N17. Levy out.
Yes.
Cheers, Brian. Always great having Brian on. Make sure you check out his channel. he's that'll be in the description along with his Twitter handle, so there's no excuse.
Indeed.
Yeah, Josh, Ndombele talked about there. I think possibly Ndombele has more natural talent than Dembele, but where Dembele was so much better is that his I've forgotten the word.
He was just natural in his position, wasn't he?
His work discipline and work rate, second to none. And that's where he is so far above Ndombele. But would you sell Ndombele? I know you said in the chat that you'd get rid of. I think you pretty much mentioned the whole team. But Ndombele, is he one there? Who are the others that you got? I mean, don't mention Winks, don't mention Ali, because you already mentioned them, which I think most Spurs fans would agree with that. But who would be your? If we were guaranteed that they all left, that the ones that said we want them to leave, who would be your candidates for getting out?
On talking about Ndombele first, like I don't want to sell Ndombele. Like there's a reason we spent £56 million on him, and when he does
he was wanted by half of Europe's top clubs as well.
Exactly. When he
something there.
Yeah, when he turns up, the guy turns up, and the guy can play football, but it's all up here. It's all up here. This isn't cleansed. And I'm hoping that Conte's brought 3 fitness coaches in and one specifically for him. So we know that Conte has this love for Ndombele. There's a reason that he went for Ndombele when he was in Milan in a trade deal when we turned it down. He likes Ndombele. He will build that midfield around Ndombele ultimately 100%, which is why he's working him to the core. In terms of players that I really that I want to see out, there's not really a definitive list. I'm loyal to the club. I'm not loyal to a player. So if they decide, this player's not good enough, then I'll get behind it. I'll get behind it 100%. If it is someone like Harry Kane, however, when he's bagging goals in left, right, and centre, and I say, we're going to get rid of Harry Kane, then I'll have something to say. But when you've got the likes of, Lo Celso, who just isn't good enough. You've got the likes of Dele Alli. I mean, let's not even touch on Dele Alli. He's too interested in being Bob Marley tribute act than a fucking footballer at the minute. You got Harry Winks, Eric Dyer.
With Dyer, he's obviously part of Conte's plans, even when we've got a full quota of defence.
And I'll get behind it. The thing is, I'll get behind it. If Dyer's part of his plans and Dyer can show that he is worth it, then I'll 110% get behind it. But you got the likes of, I like Tanganga, but I think a loan out for a year playing consistent first team football would do him the world of good. Matt Doherty's another one. I like Matt Doherty, but again, I wouldn't be sad to see him leave. I really wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you think he can be? Do you think he obviously made his name at Wolves as a wing back, and Conte, as we know, when he was at Chelsea, with Victor Moses as an example, loves a wing back. And Vegion was in the paper. He spoke to someone at Inter who's a wing back. I can't remember the name, and said, "What? Tell me about Conte." And all he said was, "He'll make you a better player." So, do you think Doherty could be the wing back that he was at Wolves, or do you think it's too far down a pecking order?
I hope so. I genuinely hope so. We got Doherty in for a steal. Like you can sit here and deny it all you want. Like there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, he ain't worth the money we spent." We got him for a reasonable fee for who he is. When he was at Wolves playing that wing back position, he was getting assists. He was tracking up. He was a box to box defender, not a midfield. He was a box to box defender. Like he was up and down that wing as much more than anyone else that I saw on the pitch at the time. But he's coming to the club. Nuno's taken over, and Nuno hasn't played the 5 at the back like he did at Wolves, which made him the candidate for the job in the first place. Which makes it it's questions need to be asked. It's obvious that the resources weren't there for him. I don't blame him. But Conte. Conte's got this habit of he'll move players out of position and he will make them better. Like we said, Victor Moses, he was a winger and then he moved into a wing back and he excelled in that position. So Conte has a habit of making players a lot better in positions that we wouldn't normally see him. But again, I mean, the list isn't definitive. Like there isn't a set list of players that I'd want to get rid of. if they don't perform and Conte says, yeah, let's get rid, then yeah, I'll back it 100%. Brian Gill's another one I think could do with another going back to Spain for a year. I mean, yesterday he just wasn't good enough.
That chance he had, which he completely snatched at, was just. I mean, that smacks of someone who's lacking confidence, maybe. But I mean, that was a really wild.
Yeah.
That.
Well, you look one of
the place.
One of the earlier chances in the game, it was a low cross from Doherty into Gill's feet, and Gill just fumbled it. And I thought he picked out the pass perfectly, but Gill just couldn't read it. Gill needs to be able to read things like that. This is all part of being. We can sit here and deny it all we want. We are a big club. There's no if buts or maybes about it. We've got a brand spanking new stadium. We're contending for top four majority all of the time, except the last couple of seasons when we have just fallen off. It's going to take a little while to get back to that run of form. But we need players that are going to be able to pick out passes and read up on passes like that. But this should be something that you're seeing in the training field. Doherty making a bolt down the right-hand side. He's going to play the ball in low to someone's feet so you can get a turn on it and score. This is what we need to see, ultimately.
I think a loan deal would do him the world of good, like you say. I think that's lack of match 100%. Sharpness, lack of match practice. 100%. Practice, is that the same thing? I'm not sure. But
well, I know what you're trying to say. And obviously, like the likes of McCandy, or I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I call him Markanday, but I love it. McCandy. He's another one. He's definitely senior level. I just think he needs that experience. Like, look what he did to Skip. Skip went to Norwich and he was man of the match from near enough every time that he played. And he's come back and he's like, he's made a mark on that squad. 100%. McCandy could benefit from that. Yeah. Even Lavinia could make a mark on that that level. Send him on the championship squad.
I want Scarlett to go on loan because he ain't going to get games, and going on loan hasn't done Harry Kane that much harm, has it? These players need game time. If they're not going to get game time, get them out on loan, lower division, fine. But they get game time. They be like, they're sitting on the bench is just stunting their progression. We've got an interesting conversation in the chat here. Kuba99, I hope I pronounced that right. Do we think the likes of Lois, Dyer or Højbjerg will be the leader we need on the field under Conte? Do we need a bigger personality to match the manager? And Cody's responded to that saying, honestly think this core group of leaders needs replaced. At any point in the last 4 seasons, could you say our team was well led? Love Hugo, but it's time for new voices. It hasn't worked. And Kuba's responded with, I agree, we need to find our own John Terry type, as much as I hate saying his name. So kind of 2 questions, I guess. Do we need a new leader? And if so,
no, I think we've already got one in Romero. Honestly, I genuinely think we've already got that leader in Romero. It's just a shame that he's out injured. He will be the future captain, and Ollie Skip will be the future vice captain. I'm predicting that now. I love Skip, and I love
as
Romero.
A kind of leader as well.
Yeah, have you seen Skip in that midfield? He shouts, like he's vocal all the time. I love that about him, and I love that about Romero as well. Romero is he is the core. He is the missing piece of the puzzle when it comes to performing well. If we don't have Romero, we don't do anything. It's that simple, and it's a shame that we're relying on one player. We do need to bring in a boatload of new players as well, and I think over the next couple of windows, we need to have a net spend of about £300 million, just as a complete turnover. But again, this is all down to Levy. On a side note, I literally put up on Facebook yesterday. One of my friends is a West Ham fan, and he put a status up saying, "Oh, we're massive and all this." And I was like, "I mean, you're better than us at the minute." I'm literally sick to the back teeth of what's going on at our club at the moment. And one of his friends responded saying, "What do you mean? You just got a brand new manager?" And I literally listed in 21 years that ENIC and Levy have been in charge. All they have done for us is built a brand new stadium. They have not financially backed any of the managers. Look, Harry Redknapp wasn't backed. Andre Villas-Boas wasn't backed. Poch wasn't backed. Jose wasn't backed. No, wrong candidate for the job. Ultimately, what is missing is the fundamental key of investment. If you don't invest, how are you supposed to improve? They haven't invested enough money over the in the last 5 or 6 years that we can sit here and boast, oh, yeah, we're a brilliant team. We are heavily relying on our under 23 product to come up and make an impact on the team. We're not looking at the likes of Chelsea. They literally scout these players at under 18 level, buy them in, develop them, and then play them out. Look at Tammy Abraham, absolutely fantastic player when he was at Chelsea. Hudson-Odoi, fantastic player at Chelsea. Like, there are so many players there that they've brought in and just developed, and they're turning into world-class players. We need to be doing that. We need to start scouting these youth players and developing them. And if we haven't got a position filled, go out and spend 30, 40, 50 million pound on a player, regardless of his age. If it means we have to bring in a 28-year-old, go and bring in a 28-year-old. Stop worrying about age and sell-on value. This is the thing. We're a football club, not a business.
No, well, do you think Levy will? Because Tommy was on earlier, and I agree with Tommy that there has to have been some conversation between Levy and Conte when the contract was signed, that Conte said, I need assurances that money will be spent. I can bring players in, players will go, and all of that business. Whereas under kind of Poch towards the end, Jose for most of it and Nuno for most of it, when Levy said there wasn't any money, they all came out and said, oh, we've got a fantastic squad of players we don't need anymore. Conte has never, ever said that. So do you see players coming in, players going, players coming in? I'm not sure January will see that much, but I do think in the summer, if Conte's still there, then there'll be a lot more business. But I struggle to believe that there'll be no business of any kind just because Conte will just walk. He won't just go, well, he'll go, well, fuck you then, I'm off, I'll go somewhere else. And Levy can't really afford that to happen because the whole fan base will turn on him. They're not 75%.
No, exactly.
The whole fan base. So do you see signings coming in January and or summer and players leaving? Because the issue with selling players, look for Ali, for an example, Levy will want a certain amount of money and he ain't worth anywhere near the amount of money that Levy will say I want for him. So really, if Conte says Dele has to go, Levy just has to accept whatever offer comes in just to get him out. But do you see any of that happening, or do you think it's still Levy is going to be Levy and hasn't changed at all? Because I struggle to see how that will happen.
What Levy needs to do is he needs to give Conte money and back off and let Conte work his magic. Right, having a player like Conte at the helm is enough attraction to attract world-class players. It isn't about the money when it comes to Conte. Every player, the majority of players, want to play under a world-class manager. Conte is that manager. He's one of the three managers in the world that can be deemed as the best. There are three managers, and he's one of them. You need to give Conte the financial investment to help and back him, because if you don't, he will walk. 100%. There is no, and if he does walk, and if Levy doesn't back him, all that is going to happen is the Spurs fans will come back again in force. The Levy out movement will be twice as big, if not bigger, maybe more than that. And we will protest every single game. And it'll get to a point where he will. I don't condone this in any way, shape, or form, but it will get to a thing. It will get to a point where he's going to have to hire additional security because people are going to want to attack him. I don't condone that. But
I don't condone that at all. But yeah, football fans, like you say, are passionate people. And
exactly. At the end of the day, this is a football club. This is a football club. We're not a business. I'm part of the generation where the majority of my lifetime we've been run by Levy and Enoch. That's that. I think barring 5 years when we were run by Sugar. But like in 21 years, there's not much that we can shout about. You look at the history of our club. We are rich in history. We are absolutely soaked in history. We're the first team. We were the first team to win a double at the top flight, which we did. First team to win a European trophy. First British team to win a European trophy. We held the record for the most amount of FA Cups until very recently when Arsenal took over. We are written history, and the thing is, we're losing that history that we've got, that sense of attraction. We are losing that ever so slowly because we have a chairman who doesn't know how to run a football club. Props to him. He's a businessman, but from a financial perspective, the guy he's fantastic. What needs to happen is he needs to give the reins. He needs to give the football side of things to someone else, to a football person like a Paratici. Give Paratici the chairman role of the football. and then stay in the background and work on the finances. Stay in the background and and work on the business side of things. But ultimately, if you want, what makes this club successful and what will bring you the most money is if you invest in the football side of things, because winning the trophies is what's going to bring you the money, not naming rights, not sponsorship deals, not cutting costs, not increased shirt prices, not not furloughing your staff and all this malarkey. Like, the fans bring you the money, and fans will stop. But they won't invest in shirts. They won't invest in tickets if we carry on performing the way that we are.
Yeah, it does make me wonder if, like you say, that the whole Levy out movement will gather pace, and then Levy might just leave if that's what we need. He's
a chairman. He can be sacked. He can be sacked.
A few comments here. Kind of a couple of different topics there. I can see us bringing in, Cooper says, 2 or 3 journeymen, mid-table Italian players in the midfield and defence. Not big names, but technically competent, able to pass and play under pressure. We're that poor right now that basic attributes and a good attitude is a huge upgrade in so many positions. And Bob Spurs said, which I agree with as well, which is quite worrying, is what worries me, Conte realising this is not going to get fixed in 18 months. He's either going to push ENIC hard, or just leave. No way he's letting our club tarnish his reputation, which Wayne agrees with, saying, for me, Levy has to back Conte in January and every window after with the players Conte wants, or he'll leave and the fans turn on him big time. I mean, do you think Levy realises that? Or do you think Levy is just, I'm Daniel Levy, I'm the god of everything that has ever existed, I can do whatever I want and people will just accept it? Or do you think he realises that he has to do something now with Conte because the fans will not tolerate if Conte leaves in less than a year in because of broken promises and things like that? Or do you think Levy just thinks, I just do whatever the hell I want?
Levy made the bridesmaids for his wedding catch their own flight. He made them pay for their own flight. That's the kind of guy we're working with. This guy he's a penny pincher. He's tight. And that isn't meant to be an anti-Semitic comment like a lot of people would try and jump on, try and push. But he is. He's a very tight-fisted individual who doesn't invest.
But that's why he makes money in business, isn't it? Because he doesn't give away unnecessary money and things like that. From a business perspective, the guy is financially sound. He's fantastic as a businessman, not as a football chairman, right? No. If he doesn't, in terms of January, we need to bring in 2 or 3 players that are going to make a serious impact. But we need to do the business early, and it's not just the incomings that we need to do early. We need to get rid of the deadwood very early as well. You need to sell your likes of your Dele Allis. You need to sell the likes of Harry Winks. I'd even go as far as to say Højbjerg, like I said. Bang average player, in my opinion. He's easily worth 40 million as a bang average player, but again, I just don't think he falls into the Conte style of football either. Like that's another thing that gets me. Conte is very particular in the players that he brings in. You look at his track record when he was at Inter Milan, when he was at Juventus, when he was at Chelsea. He plays a 5-3. He plays a 5-3-2. He plays 3 centre half and has the centre. Yeah, exactly. He plays 5 at the back. 2, obviously, with your 2 wing backs, 3 in the midfield, but he plays 3 centre halves and he plays 2 up front. And the guy in the middle of the 3, he's a box-to-box midfielder, will push back and push forward. These are the kind of players that we need to bring in, and there's not really anyone there at the moment that can do that. There's no one in the squad that will happily fit into that style of play. So Conte is going to need to be backed, and he's going to need to be able to bring in these players that he wants. So bring in someone like Stefan de Vrij. In your centre backs, bring in someone like Frank Kessie. There's a guy that we're linked with from Bayern Munich as well, who's meant to be like Conte wants him. I can't remember his name. Someone's going to have to remind me of him, but he's another one. Bring in you do say Vlahovic. Bring in another right mid. Bring in another. If just give him what he wants. If he wants to go out and spend £80 million on a player, let him. Don't put restrictions on it. Don't go back to the drawing board and try and renegotiate the deal because you're not happy with the amount of money being spent. If Conte says that this player is worth 75 million, you pay 80. That's the way that we should be going at.
Right, there should be absolutely no restrictions on the purse that Conte has. This is a one-shot opportunity, and if we mess this up, Levy is done. He is completely and utterly. I mean, he's already skating on water as it is. But at this point, if he doesn't invest, he's got absolutely no chance of fans being like, okay, you know what, you've done something right for once, we'll back off. Fans will keep going at him week after week after week after week. And like I said, it will get to a point where the hardcore fans will go after him and try and physically attack him because they're sick and tired of this, the way these clubs being run. I don't condone it, but this is what football fans are like. The quote, football fans are fickle, comes to mind. There are people that take this club very, very, very seriously. And those are the people you do not want to piss off.
Yeah, I mean, this is the key question from Kuva, which we don't know the answer to. Is Levy's ego versus Conte's will to succeed, which is bigger? We're going to find out.
100%.
Yeah, we're going to find out. And then Eugene has said, Levy's ego, I hope. I hope you don't mean that, Eugene. Levy's ego is what you meant. You've just accidentally typed, I hope. You don't mean that, surely. Kuva agrees with you. Højbjerg, he's decent but not great. He looks like a global megastar to people at the moment because he's surrounded by the likes of Dele and Winks, which that's a good point.
Dele Alli's too busy doing his Christmas tree impression. Look at his hair.
Yeah, but what Højbjerg does do, which I do like, is he does look like he cares and gives a crap. Which
100%.
You can say about like Dele.
I'd say the same about Eric. Yeah. I'd say the same about Eric Dyer because when he's on the pitch, he does shout and get vocal, but he's still not good enough. No. He still isn't good enough.
In terms of the 2-3 players you said we need to bring in, what are those positions? For me, we're desperate for some creative midfielder, whether that's like an Ericsson or whether that's someone a bit deeper. So for me, I would say that the most crucial.
There are four positions that we need to fill. Maybe even 5. That's a lot. There are 5 positions that we need to fill, and in running order of where we need to go with most, the creative midfielder is the key. We need that first. It's not far behind him. Just before the mark, you've got the striker. We need another striker in, not a backup striker, not someone that is not a rotation striker. We need another striker, another world-class striker. Someone that is going to make Kane contend for his spot. Like that. Yeah, someone that's going to make Kane contend for his spot week after week after week, right? And then you got your 2 centre-backs. We need to bring in at least 2 centre-backs. Someone that's going to play alongside Romero. So someone like a Stefan de Vrij is a perfect fit. And then another player, I'm not too sure on the other player, but that's another position that we need to fill in. And I'd even go as far as to say we need a new goalkeeper, right? Hugo Lloris is on the last year of his contract, and it's becoming more and more apparent the guy is getting fed up. He's 34 years old. He's fed up with the club. He's fed up with the way that we're playing. He's kept us in games when he shouldn't be. We shouldn't be relying on Hugo. We shouldn't even be relying on the back four to keep us in the game, but we are. Hugo Lloris has been a shot stopper. We need someone of his caliber, maybe a little bit better, to come in and replace him. Because if he does, he's going to go after the end of his contract. I can just see it now. He's going to get it's his last World Cup. He's going to want to go somewhere where he's going to enjoy his football. He's going to go and play for France in the World Cup, and then he'll probably retire. He'll go with the MLS or something. But
that was the link. That was the rumor, wasn't it? That
yeah. But I mean, another rumor that's going around is that we're using Dele Alli as a paperweight to sign Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. We need a new goalkeeper, but not Pickford. If you look at Pickford, he did it in the World Cup. That he parries stuff into the middle of the goal. Surely, as a goalkeeper, you're told the worst case scenario if you parry is a corner. You don't stick in the middle. He got lucky in the World Cup, whereas there's a few
people we can look at. You got your likes of your Dean Henderson from Man United, who's after a new club, so he'd be more than happy to come to Tottenham. Sam Johnston.
I'm not sure about Dean Henderson, because I think if Man United get word that people are sniffing around him and he's looking for a new club, they're more likely to get rid of De Gea and say to Henderson, "You're our number one now," and then he'll stay.
No, they'll keep De Gea, mate. They'll get someone like Onana, I think. I know Onana's linked with Inter Milan, but you've got Ralph Rangnick going there now. He'll start attracting players as well.
My choice for goalkeeper would be, and it's quite ironic, I mentioned this guy and who we're playing on Sundays, Nick Pope. I think he's a brilliant keeper.
Yeah, he is, but he's 29 years old, mate. He's 29 years old.
Oh, right, okay. I thought he was about 27. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
You need to bring in someone young. There's a player that I've been keeping my eye on recently as well, and I think if you brought him in now, as not so much as a number one, but if you bought two goalkeepers in, because you could get this guy on the cheap anyway. But if you get someone like your Dean Henderson, someone like your Pope or your Pickford or whatever keeper we're going to bring in, another goalkeeper I want to see brought in is someone called Etienne Green, who plays for St Etienne in Ligue 1. He's English, he fulfills the homegrown quota, and he's 21 years old, and he's getting first team experience. Like that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of goalkeeper you want. And he's a shot stopper as well. He's someone that I'd strongly recommend anyone go and look him up. So Etienne Green, he's plays for the under 23s at international level, England under 23s. He plays in France. He's English with French nationality because he's obviously his parents are French, but he was born in England. He's born in Colchester, so he's got that's if you're looking at someone that fulfilled the homegrown quota, he's a perfect fit. It's a position that we're going to need filled at some point, and that's perfect.
Yeah, a couple of comments here. Scott, speak to him on Eugene's channel. How you doing, Scott? We need Scott. At least two midfielders, both creative, progressive, one deep line, Pirlo, Brozovic, Fabregas, and one more advanced. Two centre-backs to play on either side of Romero, one starting level striker, 5 to 6 depth guys. And in terms of the goalkeeper, we've got quite a few comments there. 29-year-old isn't a problem for a goalkeeper. That's another 6-7 years at the top, if not more, surely. But with Dean Henderson, we'll see 24, so you've got about 50, maybe not 15, at least 10 years. Eugene said, please not Galini.
Galini is not good enough. Why I'm trying to stop myself from swearing now. Why we got Galini in the first place after he struggled at Aston Villa in the Championship? Why have we bought him in? The guy is not worth. He isn't worth the shit that I traded in the street. Like, just send him back. Send him back to Atlanta. I don't want him. He's gone.
He's another Gazaniga, isn't he? He's not terrible, but he's never going to be a number one. And
he's too busy trying to be a rapper, mate. He's too busy trying to be a rapper.
And Tony Hall has said, how are you doing, Tony? Goalkeeper I want is Andre Onana, who plays for Ajax. But Eugene said he's got disciplinary problems. And Etienne Green, that you mentioned, Wayne said, were we looking at him in the summer or the summer before? To be perfectly honest, I've not heard of him. So if we were looking at him, it either went over my head or I didn't see it. But I think a goalkeeper has to be certainly considered. But creative midfielder for me is that's not even a negotiation for me. That has to be brought in January because we are crying out for that. The others, I mean, we need them. There's no doubt we need them. But if you were told, you can only have one player in the January window, it'd have to be a creative midfielder for me because we are
100%. I'm just going to turn my camera off, mate. I'm going to have a smoke because I'm going to turn my camera off.
All right, no worries. And then, in terms of the Burnley game. How do you see that? How do you see that going? For me, it's going to be a real tight game. Was it you in the chat who said that we'll lose to a set piece? Someone definitely said we'll lose to a set piece.
Wasn't me, but someone did say that we'll lose to a set piece.
Yeah, I mean that's where Burnley's strength lies, and our defence isn't the greatest in the air. But they haven't lost for 4 games. A lot of those have been draws, so they're difficult to break down and difficult to beat, and obviously we can't break anyone down. So it doesn't lend itself to the fact that it's going to be a high-scoring game. But how do you see it going? And I mean, everyone who predicts scores can't come on here and then say, "Oh, we'll lose." But so everyone says we'll win and then we'll lose. So I don't want to badger you for a result. But what are your predictions for the game and how do you see it going?
I don't think we're going to get the result. I'll be honest. I don't think we're going to get the result. This precise moment in time.
The result being a win or the result being a draw?
I don't think we're going to get a win. I don't even think we're going to get a win. I really don't. I think it's going to be tough, and I reckon we'll just about scrape a draw. In all honesty, I think that's how it's going to go. Just because of motivation, the motivation is going to be lacking a little bit. You look at them. You look at Mura. Before we played them, they had lost 5 games on the trot in all competitions, and they go and beat us, a team that is worth £6.5 million collectively, who was on a 5-game loss streak, have just beaten Tottenham, who collectively are worth about £600 million. Says all you need to know, doesn't it? Says everything you need to know. Burnley aren't a team to underestimate, man. Like they are. I mean, they might. I don't know where they're sitting in the league right now, but I think they're quite low down. They ain't got anything to lose, have they? They're not contending for top 4. They're not contending for Europe. They're just they're playing to stay up. So they're going to throw the kitchen sink at us and more. You're going to see like your Jay Rodriguez just try and break you down a little bit. You're going to see your who are the other players that they've got. There's a few of them.
Dwight McNeil, Chris Wood, Ashley Barnes, they'll cause us problems.
Yeah. They're all going to cause problems. If we don't step our game up, we ain't going to get the result. From a realistic perspective, I don't think we're going to get the result. But in my mind, as a Spurs fan and being someone that is loyal to my club and wants us to succeed, I reckon we'll win 2-0. But from a realistic perspective, we're not going to get the result. We're not going to get the result. I'm going into this game expecting nothing. Honestly, because if we come out with a result, I'll be pleasantly surprised and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And if we don't get the result, I'll be like, well, I said it.
Just one more comment on the transfers. Creative midfielder Tony Hall says, I'd get Yuri Tillemans, not sure we'd leave Leicester, or Frank Kessie, which Frank Kessie, I think, is a good one because he's free in the summer. So just get him now and,
start working on him now, yeah.
Yeah,
get the pre-contract to agreement set up.
Get him for like 10 million because it's better than nothing.
He won't go for 10, mate. He won't go for 10. You're probably looking at about 15, 20 million, I reckon.
Yeah, even that's cheap. But it's like who does he play for? It's one of the Milans, isn't it? I can't remember. AC Milan.
AC Milan, yeah.
But they're either going to get like 10, 15, 20 million now, or absolutely nothing. So you might as well just get some money. So at least put a request in or a question in. But yeah, in terms of the Burnley game, Eugene said Conte will put a rocket up the player's arse and we will win at Burnley. I love the enthusiasm and positivity, Eugene.
I love the enthusiasm, mate, but we said the same about Mura and look how that turned out.
But all I'd say to you, Eugene, is, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself.
No, but look, like Conte said himself, the level is not high right now. The level is not high right now. A lot of people are expecting Conte just to come in and work his magic straight away. I was one of them. I'll hold my hands up and say that. I was one of these people that thought, we got Conte now, we're going to win every game. It's not going to work like that. You need to give him the January transfer window, get the business done early, and then we'll start seeing the results. Because he'll start pruning out the dead weight.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Until then, we can only hope. West Ham's going to be the biggest game of our life, and I never thought I'd ever say that. It's going to be the biggest game for us. Yeah. A couple of years ago, you say, we got West Ham in the quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup, and you sit there, rub your hands together, think, that's a lovely path to the semi-final. Nowadays, I'm worried we're even going to make it. That's the level right now.
Yeah, it's been the case for a few seasons, isn't it? Since when Poch left, it's all cups, it's not leagues anymore. A few predictions from viewers here for the Burnley game. Quite a mixed reaction. So Kuva saying, I think we'll beat Burnley. We'll feed the team that we fielded the second half against Leeds, salvage what we can from a high press and a passing game. We need to outplay them, not outfight them. But Barry Ambo's different. We can't score from corners. We can't defend corners. 1-0 loss. Ryan McFarlane. How you doing, Ryan? It's like these players have stopped for Conte after 3 weeks. Really dislike a lot of this squad. I'm not sure it's all the players. Certainly the second string that played yesterday, I'd agree with that. But not that first team.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about it as well, man. It's an 11-man squad. It's not one man. It's not two man. It's not three. It's 11 men. It's the majority of the squad. It's not all of the squad. You got your likes of your Harry Kane, who I think, do you know what? I think Harry Kane just needs a rocket up his arse, and he needs a bit of a boost, and he needs delivery. Son, another player who I think is absolutely fantastic, but he's being let down by the likes of your Ben Davis and your Harry Winks and your Dele Alli. He's being let down because their attitudes are just wearing off on the club. They're wearing off on other players. This is why they need to be pruned out.
Yeah, I think with Son and Kane, if we get that creative midfielder in, you'll see a different Son and Kane. Like Kane is
100%.
Certainly under Nuno, you could see he was quite clearly told in training or tactics, do not come deep. But yeah, we've got no other person who can pass the ball to Son. But But yeah, Tony Hall has said, I mentioned this earlier, the relegation teams that are always down there every season are the ones to watch. They will always give you a game. So Burnley could have 0 points after 20 games. You got to Turf Moor. It's never an easy game. Never.
Well, look what happened a couple of years ago when they were already relegated. I think we played them on the last game of the season. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. We played them on the last game of the season. They were already relegated, and they beat us 4-0.
Yeah.
And this is when we were contending for top 4.
I think you have to have the right attitude here, and if we don't have the right attitude, we will get beaten. And gone fishing for souls. For Spurs. No point in thinking about trophies until we start getting runs of 10 wins in a row. Not sure when that's going to be, if ever. Conte needs to get in at least 6 players that he's previously worked with before, so we have to bite the bullet until January. Which, yeah, and
I agree with you. I agree with you until you said 6 players. I was agreeing with you until you said 6 players. He doesn't need 6 players. He needs about 3 or 4.
Yeah. But yeah, I have to bite the bullet until January. I think every Spurs fan can agree with that. And we've got a lot of games coming up till then as well. So that's a lot of time to bite the bullet for. Certainly seeming that yesterday the second string just aren't good enough or don't want to know or what looks like is both. And Eugene, the second stringers had 2 weeks with Conte during the international break. Yeah, that's quite worrying, isn't it? That they were all there in the international break, and they play like that.
What I'm fearing, right, is that these players have been overworked during that training session, and they're going to struggle for fitness. This is what I'm worried about. You saw what Reggie said before the Leeds game. He said, "This has been the worst 2 weeks of my life."
Yeah. But obviously,
that's everything you need to know.
With fitness, I think the hardest part of fitness is getting into it. Once you get into it, you get into a rhythm, and then it becomes easier the more and more you do it. So they're obviously so unfit under Nuno and Jose compared to how they were under Poch that they've completely dropped levels. I mean, you only have to see that in stats, don't you, on the distance running games, which was so. I think we were bottom of the league when we were under Poch. We were top of the league or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're obviously trying to get to that level again, and they're so off that mark that it's going to take a little while. And you know, the quicker they get into that and go, okay, fine, we'll do it, the easier it will be. And yeah, gone fishing for souls again. Hopefully, Conte can get at least 3 former players of his in the January window and move at least 2 or 3 of the deadwood out. I mean, that would be a start, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah.
Part there. But yeah, and Eugene said Newcastle when they were relegated beat us 5-1. That was a Leicester title winning season, I think. But yeah, pretty much run out of time. There's not really anything else to talk about other than going over old stuff and talking about what will happen in January. I mean, it's like watching a film, predicting a film that you've not even heard of. Like what will happen in it, I have no idea. I have no idea because anything could happen there. Conte could walk. Levy could surprise us. It could be half and half. Conte could say, well, if you don't. He hasn't signed anyone, but if you don't in summer, then I will walk. So it's a real a lot of 50-50. It's only going to be in January that we know if Levy's changed and if Conte's going to walk or not if he doesn't get his way. But yeah, like I think gone fishing for souls. I'm not sure who it was. If I've got that wrong, I apologise. Who said that we have to bite the bullet until January? But yeah, and gone fishing as well. Dele, Doherty, Sanchez, Winks, and Dombele, Sessegnon need to be sold first, in my opinion. They've all been here. They're all here so long, like mouldy bread. Doherty, I'm willing to give a chance just because he's got a manager that will play him in his best position if he gets in the team. So I'm willing to give him a chance. Yeah. Sessegnon as well. I went on Tommy's show yesterday. It was about 24 hours ago. Back Sessegnon, and then he goes and does that, and that just annoyed me. But he
needs to learn. It's all about discipline. He just needs to learn to stop making rash decisions. Other than that, he'd be quality.
Yeah, and all I can think is he was trying to impress and just got a bit carried away. But he is an experienced player, so he should know better than that. But I mean, if he keeps doing stuff like that, Conte ain't going to put up with it and ain't going to trust him, so he ain't going to get in. And Eugene said after the Newcastle game, you mentioned a box-to-box midfielder, and then how much would we like this guy back? He was terrible, But he was a box-to-box midfielder, and he put
He was a
effort
box-to-box midfielder, and you can sit here and say he was terrible, but he knew how to muscle someone off of a ball, and he was a ball-winning midfielder.
Yeah.
He might not have been able to pass. He couldn't pass straight, but he can definitely win a ball.
Yeah, and I think Conte would have loved him.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Fitness and everything, but pretty much reached the end. A lot of different opinions on the what will happen at Burnley, whether we'll win, lose, or draw. A lot of different opinions. Usually on here, you get like a very positive. Very difficult to be positive today after yesterday. You get a lot of positive things, and not that many people saying that we'll lose. And Cooper99 said, might not be quality. We simply don't know yet, do we? I'm not sure
that's it. That's it. This is all about biting the bullet, and we need to give these players a chance. This is what I'm saying.
That was Cooper who said that. But yeah, cheers, Josh, for coming on.
No worries,
a bit later than the other guys. Thank you as well to Tommy and Brian. Tommy Talks Ball. Go check that out. Tottenham on Tour. From Brian, check that out. Hit the likes here, hit the subscribes, and Josh has a channel as well, which I'll have to add that to the description. Just tell us a bit about your channel. Where can people find it, and what kind of stuff you do? It's a fairly new channel, so there might not be a huge amount of videos, but go into all of the backlog, hit the likes on all the videos, hit the subscribe. But yeah, where can people find that? Tell us a bit about your channel. Yeah,
so you can find me over at Josh the Tottenham Guy. I'm another streamer. I do weekly shows. I've also started a new series on Football Manager, where I'm basically rebuilding Tottenham from the beginning of the season. And I'm also midway through a series called Player Profiles, where we deep dive into the lives and careers of players past and present. You can find me on Twitter, Josh RG in HD. And that's pretty much it. As for right now, I've got to make my way down to the hospital. My daughter's in hospital at the moment, so I'm going to make my way down there. But thanks for having me on, mate. It was an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, I hope your daughter's okay. Thanks so much for coming on. And we'll head off. We'll be back on Monday. Hopefully a bit of a positive thing, although after yesterday's result, it's not looking likely. But things do surprise us. Football always surprises us. So hopefully we can get a result against Burnley. 2 wins out of 2 in the league. Put that Mura result behind us. Go on a bit of a run and get the positivity back. But yeah, until Monday, come on, you Spurs.
The Spurs.
Thank you so much for watching, for everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter, @LTalkTottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then, come on, you Spurs!